My stepson introduced me as the man who fixes things at my barbershop's reopening. Then I saw my chair was gone. 3 matching black stations stood in its place with his name across the mirrors. He told 40 customers I had retired because my hands were no longer safe, though I had cut hair there the previous Saturday. Before the ribbon fell, he slipped me a key and said, "Come back at 7 and train my new staff." I opened the cabinet where my tools belonged and found it empty. Then a young barber handed me a receipt bearing my name and a fee I had never charged. Hey everyone, welcome to today's story. Before we begin, take a second to like the video, subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I always enjoy seeing how far these stories travel. Quick note, this story includes fictional elements for storytelling purposes, but the message behind it is what truly matters. Now, let's see what Eddie discovered. The first thing I noticed when I stepped into Lawson's barbershop that Saturday morning was the floor. Marcus had replaced the old gray tile with wide boards made to look like dark oak, and whoever installed them had left a thin line of adhesive along the baseboard near the window. I bent to rub it with my thumb before I remembered I was wearing a clean shirt, and there were already people watching. "Leave it," Marcus said from behind the counter. "It's fine." He wore a charcoal jacket over a black t-shirt, no tie, white sneakers that had never touched hair clippings, and a smile he had probably practiced in his bathroom mirror. At 40, he was a broad-shouldered man with his mother's dark eyes and a way of leaning forward when he wanted people to feel chosen. That morning, he was leaning toward everyone except me. "It'll collect dirt," I said. "Nobody's looking at the baseboard." I looked. Marcus exhaled through his nose. "Please don't start fixing things before we open." "I wasn't fixing it. You were halfway down. That is called bending." He glanced toward the front windows, where a red ribbon had been tied across the doorway. Outside, customers, neighbors, and a few men from the local business association were gathering on the sidewalk. A folding table held coffee, pastries, and paper cups, with the new shop logo printed on them. The logo still said Lawson's, though the letters were thinner now, and a gold line ran underneath. Smaller words below read, "Curated, by Marcus Vale." I had not seen that part until then. "Curated," I said. "It means I've shaped the experience." "It sounds like a museum gift shop." Eddie. He used my name when he wanted me to stop being his stepfather and become an employee who had missed a memo. Today matters. "I know." "Then let me run it." I looked past him into the shop. For 35 years, my chair had stood at the second station from the window. It was an old Belmont with red leather, chrome footrests, and a hydraulic pump that sank half an inch if a man weighed more than 220 pounds. I knew because I had rebuilt that pump twice. The chair was gone. In its place stood 3 identical black chairs with squared backs and brushed steel arms. The mirrors were new too. Each had Marcus Vale printed in small gold letters across the bottom right corner. "Where's my chair?" I asked. Marcus adjusted a stack of appointment cards. "In storage." "What storage?" "The back room. That room holds towels and the water heater." We cleared space. I walked toward the rear. He stepped into my path. "Not now." "It's my chair." "I know whose chair it is." "Then why can't I see it?" A woman near the coffee table glanced over. Marcus lowered his voice. "Because I have 40 people outside, and you are making this about furniture. You took my chair out of the shop. I replaced all the stations. We discussed a cleaner look. You showed me a paint sample. The chairs were part of the same plan. Not in the conversation I was in." He rubbed the side of his nose, a habit he had picked up from his mother. Lorraine used to do it when she had decided I was technically right and socially impossible. "We can talk after," he said. "After what?" "The opening. You said I could still work Saturdays." "And you can." I looked at the 3 matching stations. "Standing? We'll figure out a chair. You already had one." His smile disappeared for a second. Then the front door opened and Jenna came in carrying a tray of iced drinks. Jenna was Marcus's wife. She had short blonde hair, quick hands, and the patient expression of a woman who spent most of her week correcting numbers other people had entered badly. She worked in billing for a dental group and had handled the shop's invoices during the renovation. "They're starting to block the bakery entrance," she said. Then she saw us. "What happened?" "Nothing," Marcus replied. "Eddie wants to inspect the back room." "My chair is back there." Jenna looked at Marcus. "You didn't tell him?" "I told him we were updating the floor. That is not the chair." "Thank you," I said. Marcus turned toward her. "Can we not do this in front of the door?" Jenna set the tray down. "You said he agreed." "He agreed I should take the lead." "Taking the lead does not make the furniture yours," I said. Marcus looked at the ceiling. "This is exactly what I was trying to avoid." "You were trying to avoid telling me." Jenna touched my arm. "Eddie, let's get through the opening. Then we'll bring the chair out and talk." "Is it damaged?" "No." "Was it sold?" "No," she said. "It's wrapped." "Why?" Marcus picked up the ceremonial scissors from the counter. "Because today is not about the old shop." That sentence stayed between us. I had heard versions of it during the renovation. The old paneling was too dark. The old photographs were too crowded. The old cash register looked like a prop. The magazines smelled like aftershave. I had let most of it go because Marcus had spent 9 years saying he wanted a larger role and 5 more saying I did not trust him enough to provide one. At 68, I was working 3 days, most weeks, and fewer whenever my left knee swelled. Letting him manage the shop had seemed less like surrender than relief. I had not understood that he believed leadership required removing evidence that someone had led before him. A burst of applause came from outside. One of the business association men was tapping a spoon against a paper cup. "Ready?" Jenna asked. Marcus looked at me. "Can we please keep today simple?" I had a habit of saying that myself. Let's keep it simple. I used it when a customer wanted 4 different instructions for the same haircut, or when Lorraine tried to make me explain what I felt before I knew. Hearing the words aimed back at me made me aware of how often simple meant quiet. "Fine," I said. Marcus opened the door. People moved in around us, carrying coffee and bakery boxes, commenting on the floor, the lights, and the smell of fresh paint. Lawson's had always been a neighborhood shop, though the neighborhood had changed around it. When I opened in 1991, the storefronts on our block held a hardware store, a tailor, a laundromat, and a narrow lunch counter where you could get meatloaf for $3. Now the hardware store sold handmade candles, the laundromat had become a bicycle studio, and the lunch counter was a cafe where the menu explained which farm had produced the eggs. My customers had changed more slowly. Some had been coming since their sons needed booster seats in my chair. They brought photographs to show me because I had seen enough of the family to understand why the photograph mattered. Mr. Russo arrived first among them, wearing the tan windbreaker he wore in every season. "There he is," he said, putting both hands around mine. "I nearly walked past, thought they moved you to a bank. Banks have better coffee." "Not anymore." His eyes traveled to the matching stations. "Where's the red chair?" "Resting." "Like me?" "More useful than both of us." He laughed. Marcus appeared beside us. "Mr. Russo, glad you made it. Wouldn't miss seeing what you did to the place." Mr. Russo's tone was not rude, but it had enough room in it for more than one meaning. Marcus either missed that or chose to. "We're building something new," he said. "Eddie laid the groundwork." "Laid the groundwork," Mr. Russo repeated. "That why you got him dressed like an electrician?" I looked down at my light blue work shirt. "This is a good shirt. It has your name over the pocket," he said. "So I don't lose it." Marcus laughed louder than the joke required. "Eddie still helps with repairs," he said. "Nobody knows the equipment better." Mr. Russo looked at me. "You cutting today?" Before I could answer, Marcus touched my shoulder. "Eddie's easing into full retirement. We're keeping him around because he can fix practically anything." He turned toward the gathering crowd and raised his voice. "Actually, let me introduce him properly." Jenna, standing near the pastries, stopped moving. Marcus guided me toward the ribbon. I did not need guiding, but his hand stayed between my shoulder blades. "Everybody," he said, "this is Eddie Lawson, the man who started it all, and the man who still fixes just about everything around here." A few people clapped. "He's finally letting himself step back. And we're grateful he trusted me to bring Lawson's into its next era." Someone near the door called, "Speech, Eddie." I looked at the new mirrors, the gold letters bearing Marcus's name, and the empty space where my chair had stood. "It's a floor," I said. "Try not to spill anything on it." People laughed. Marcus smiled through his teeth. The business association man handed him the large scissors. Jenna stood on his other side for the photograph. I remained beside them because moving away would have created a question I did not want to answer in public. Marcus cut the ribbon. Everyone applauded again. For the next hour, I shook hands, accepted congratulations for retiring, and corrected nobody. A woman I had never met told me how wise it was to stop before my health forced me. One of Marcus's friends said, "You earned some fishing time." I had not fished since I was 14 and did not enjoy it then. An older customer named Fred Bell asked whether my hands were bothering me. "They're attached," I said. "So far, that's the main issue." He glanced toward Marcus. "He said you had a little shaking." "Everybody has a little shaking if you hand them enough coffee." Fred did not laugh. "I'm sorry," he said. "About what?" "Nothing." He moved away. That was the first moment I sensed Marcus had said more than I knew. I found Jenna in the narrow hall leading to the back room. She was breaking down a cardboard box with a bread knife because no one could locate the utility blade. "What did Marcus tell people about my hands?" I asked. She stopped cutting. "You should ask him." "I am asking you because he is busy being curated." "Eddie, did he tell people I stopped because I shake?" She folded the box along an old crease. "He said the long hours were getting harder." "That is true. He said your grip had been bothering you." "My right thumb locks when it gets cold. It has done that for 12 years. Jenna looked toward the front. "He may have worded it badly." "What words did he use?" "I wasn't present every time." "Were you present once?" She set the knife on the shelf. "He wanted the launch to feel clean." "Why does my hand make the launch dirty?" "That is not what I meant." "I know, it's what he meant." She pressed the flattened box against the wall. "Marcus has borrowed money for this renovation." "From whom?" "The credit union." "Us. Some from his retirement account." "How much?" "That is between us." "Then why tell me?" "Because he is frightened, Eddie. He thinks if the first 3 months do not work, the whole thing falls apart." "I still own the equipment account and pay half the rent." "I know." "Does he?" "Of course he knows. Some days I wonder." She rubbed her forehead. "Please give him today." "I have given him today." "And tonight?" "What happens tonight?" Her face changed before she answered. "He didn't tell you?" "Apparently today is built around that." Marcus came down the hall holding 3 small brass keys on a ring. "There you are," he said. He pressed the ring into my palm. "Back door, supply cabinet, front gate." "I already have keys." "Those are for the old locks." "You changed all of them?" "During renovation." "And no one gave me new ones until now?" "You weren't working this week." "I came Tuesday. The contractors were here." "I stood outside for 20 minutes." "I thought Jenna let you in." Jenna said, "I was at work." Marcus looked from her to me. "Well, now you have them." "What is tonight?" He glanced at Jenna. "Training." "Whose?" "Mine." "You already know how to cut hair." "Not me. The new team." He nodded toward the 3 young people standing by the stations. I had noticed them during the opening, but assumed they were friends or temporary help. One was a tall black man in his mid-20s, with careful eyes and a neatly trimmed beard. Another was a woman with copper-colored curls pinned above one ear. The third was a shorter man with glasses and a tattoo of a comb along his forearm. "They're licensed," Marcus said. "Good. But they need to learn our standards." "Your standards are printed on the mirrors." "Eddie, come back at 7. 2 hours. Show them the Lawson cut, hot towel routine, beard finish, customer notes." "The Lawson cut?" "The classic side part you do." "That is not a cut. It is a side part. People recognize it. People recognize their own heads." Marcus leaned closer. "I sold the opening on continuity. They need to see how you work." "You told everyone I do not work." "I said you were retiring." "You said my hands were unsafe." "I did not use that word. Fred Bell did." Marcus looked toward the front. "Fred worries." "About me?" About old people generally. He is 74. That proves my point. Jenna made a small sound. Marcus turned to her. What? Nothing. Everybody has something today. I rolled the brass keys against my palm. Why 7? We close at 6, customers leave. You train them without interruption. Why not Monday? They start taking appointments Monday. Then you should have trained them before opening. I did. You said they need me. For finishing touches, 2 hours of finishing touches? Marcus lowered his voice. I need this from you. That was the first honest sentence he had said all morning. It did not make the request fair, but it made refusal harder. I had known Marcus since he was 9. His biological father had left before I met Lorraine, appearing every few years with a birthday card or a promise that required someone else to pay for it. Marcus never called me Dad. I never asked him to. He called me Eddie. And when he was 12, 13, 14, I told myself the name did not matter, because I was the one teaching him to drive, standing in the gym during wrestling meets, and keeping the porch light on when he missed curfew. Lorraine said I was too proud to ask for what I wanted. She was probably right. After she died, Marcus and I became even more careful. We discussed gutters, tax forms, clippers, and whether Jenna's car needed brakes. We did not discuss the empty chair at Christmas or why he spoke about his childhood as if he had raised himself. Giving him the shop had felt like one way to say what I had never managed in plain words. I had not given him ownership yet. The lease, the main phone number, the appointment records, the original chairs, and most of the tools were still mine. But I had given him the front door, the schedule, and permission to make decisions. Maybe he thought the rest was only paperwork catching up. 2 hours, I said, 7 to 9. His shoulders dropped. Thank you. Bring my chair out. Tonight? Before training. It doesn't match. Neither do I. We'll use one of the new chairs. I work from my chair. You said 2 hours. I said bring it out. Jenna watched him. Marcus looked toward the back room. Fine. He turned away before I could ask for the cabinet key. The opening continued. A photographer took pictures of Marcus pretending to trim Jenna's hair. The 3 new barbers passed out cards. I spoke to customers who had heard I was ill, customers who thought I had moved to Florida, and one man who believed Marcus had purchased the whole building. Every rumor made me a little more tired. By 3, the coffee was cold and most of the pastries had hardened. I swept the floor because hair or no hair, people had tracked in grit. Marcus told me the cleaning service would handle it. I finished anyway. At 4, Mr. Russo returned from his car carrying a folded piece of glossy paper. You seen this? He asked. What is it? Found it at the cafe. The front showed a photograph of Marcus standing in the shop before the ribbon had gone up. Behind him, the old mirrors had already been removed. Across the top, gold letters read, "A new generation at Lawson's." Below the photograph were 3 short paragraphs. I started reading, but Marcus called my name from across the room. Eddie, can you check the sink pressure? I folded the paper. What's wrong with it? Kayla says it's low. Kayla, the woman with copper curls, looked confused. I said it was splashing. That means the aerator, Marcus replied. Eddie knows. I put the paper in my pocket and went to the sink. The aerator was crooked. I straightened it with my fingers. Fixed, Marcus announced to a customer standing nearby, as if the demonstration supported his morning introduction. Mr. Russo watched me. Read the bottom, he said quietly. At home. Read it before tonight. Marcus called him toward the coffee table. I carried the paper into the back room instead. The back room had once held shelves of towels, boxes of neck strips, 2 folding chairs, and a dented refrigerator. Now my red Belmont chair lay on its side beneath a gray moving blanket. 1 armrest protruded near the water heater. 2 cardboard boxes sat on the footrest. I pulled the blanket back. The leather had been wrapped in plastic, but the chrome base was bare, and a scrape ran along one side where someone had dragged it across the floor. My clipper cabinet stood against the opposite wall. The small brass lock had been replaced. I tried the new supply key. It did not fit. I unfolded the glossy paper. The first paragraph described Marcus as the creative force behind the rebirth of a Pittsburgh institution. The second said he had spent years modernizing techniques and preparing a hand-selected team. The third was shorter. Founder Eddie Lawson has stepped away from barbering after recent concerns about the steadiness and safety of his work. Marcus Vail has preserved the Lawson tradition while bringing the precision today's clients expect. I read it twice because the first time I thought I had misunderstood. Concerns about the steadiness and safety of his work. There was no name attached to the concerns. No incident. No date. Just enough language to make strangers imagine a razor slipping near an ear. I folded the paper along the same crease. Marcus came into the room carrying a stack of towels. He saw the blanket pulled back. I said I'd bring the chair out later. Who scraped the base? It was like that. No, then one of the contractors. Which one? I don't know. I held up the paper. Did you write this? He set the towels on the refrigerator. Jenna wrote most of the launch material. Did she write that my work was unsafe? It doesn't say unsafe. It says safety concerns. It says concerns about steadiness and safety. That is the same thing wearing a jacket. Marcus reached for the brochure. I kept it. We needed a clean explanation, he said. For what? Why you're stepping away? I did not step away. You work 1 day a week, 3 until renovation. You canceled twice last month. My knee swelled. And the month before, you nicked Mr. Bell's ear. Fred turned his head when someone opened the door. He needed a piece of tissue for 30 seconds. He complained. He asked for another mint. You don't hear what people say after they leave. Apparently you do, and then you print it. Marcus crossed his arms. This is branding. This is a lie. It is not a lie that you are slowing down. It is a lie that my work is unsafe. I didn't say you hurt anyone. You made sure people could imagine it. He looked toward the hallway. Lower your voice. No one is back here. Sound carries. Good. His jaw tightened. What do you want? Correct it. The brochures are already printed. Then throw them away. There are 500. Then you have 500 reasons not to do it again. Do you have any idea what they cost? Less than my name. He laughed once. Not because anything was funny. Your name is on the sign. And yours is on every mirror. You agreed this would become my shop. Gradually. There is no gradual way to launch. There is a direct way to speak. I tried direct. Every time I suggested you reduce hours, you changed the subject. I reduced them. After Jenna made the schedule, because I trusted you to manage it. Exactly. He spread his hands. You trusted me to manage, and now you want approval over every sentence. Only the sentences that say I am dangerous. Nobody said dangerous. Take the word safety out. The brochure has gone out. Put a correction online. That makes us look disorganized. You are disorganized. We just reopened. Then it is a good time to tell the truth. He pressed both palms against the towel stack. I need people to believe this place belongs to me now. There it was, simple enough. Does it? I asked. You said it would. I said we would work toward it. For how long? We never set a date. Because you never set dates. You say, we'll see, we'll talk, let's keep it simple. Meanwhile, I am 40 years old asking permission to move a chair. You didn't ask. Because I knew the answer. Then why are you surprised I'm angry? He looked at the red chair on its side. That thing makes the shop look frozen. It made the shop money for 35 years. So did cash. We still take cards. Bring it out tonight. No. The word came quickly. What? We use the new stations. The floor was designed around them. The floor is flat. You know what I mean. I usually do. That has been a problem. Marcus looked toward the doorway and lowered his voice again. Do not turn tonight into a demonstration. I am not the one printing brochures. I need you to train them. Not remind them who used to be in charge. I am still responsible for the shop accounts. On paper. The paper pays the rent. Half. And owns every tool in that locked cabinet. He glanced at the cabinet. Those are old tools. Then open it. The key is with the contractor. You changed the lock. The old one was loose. Open it. Monday. Tonight. Why? Because I want to see what is mine. Nothing is missing. You removed the chair, changed the locks, and printed that I cannot hold a razor steady. Forgive me for checking. He stared at me. The expression was not guilt exactly. It was the look of someone who believed each individual choice could be explained, and therefore the sum did not need to be faced. I'll get the key, he said, before 7. And correct the website. We'll discuss it Monday. That is not what I said. I heard you. Listening would be different. Jenna appeared in the doorway. People are asking for you. She looked between us. What happened? I handed her the brochure. She read the bottom paragraph and shut her eyes. Marcus. You approved it. Not that version. It came from the copy you sent. My copy said Eddie was reducing his schedule after 35 years. It needed a reason. No, it didn't. Marcus took the brochure from her. We are not doing this now. Jenna looked at me. I'm sorry. Did you know about the chairs? Yes. The locks? Not all of them. The cabinet? She looked at Marcus. He said, the contractor changed it. Which contractor? She asked. Why is everybody obsessed with the cabinet? Because you are avoiding opening it, I said. Marcus dropped the brochure onto the towels. 7 o'clock. I will have the key. We'll do the training, and Monday we'll sit down. With the correction posted. We'll discuss the wording. I wanted to keep arguing. Instead, I looked at Jenna. She gave the smallest shake of her head, not asking me to surrender, only asking me not to burn the room down while customers were still eating cookies 20 feet away. 7, I said. I left through the back door with the new keys in my pocket. The sky had turned the pale color Pittsburgh gets before rain, though the forecast had promised none. I drove home to the narrow brick house Lorraine and I had bought when Marcus was 11. He had painted his bedroom black at 16 and then denied it was black because the can said midnight. The room was a guest room now, but the closet door still stuck where he had slammed it during an argument about a motorcycle. I changed my shirt, made a sandwich, and sat at the kitchen table with the brochure beside my plate. Lorraine's photograph stood on the shelf near the phone. She was laughing in it, head turned away from the camera, one hand raised as if whoever took the picture had said something foolish. Your son is an ass, I told her. Then I added, at the moment, because she would have corrected me. I had married Lorraine when Marcus was 9. On our 3rd date, she told me she came with a boy who did not need a new father and would not appreciate auditions. I said I was not auditioning. 6 months later, I was building shelves in his bedroom. He stood in the doorway and asked why I was putting the best shelf too high for him to reach. I told him he would grow. What if you're gone by then? He asked. I had no good answer, so I lowered the shelf. He remembered that kind of thing. So did I. For years, I thought consistency would eventually become a name. Dad, maybe. Or something close enough that I would recognize it. Instead, Eddie remained Eddie. Sometimes he said it warmly. Sometimes he used it like a locked door. The shop became the place where we worked without needing to explain the relationship. He swept floors at 13, answered phones at 15, learned to hold clippers at 17, left for college at 19, came back after 1 semester, and asked me to teach him properly. I did. Lorraine said I was happiest when instruction allowed me to disguise affection as criticism. Your fate is uneven, meant I believed he could do better. You're rushing, meant stay. Sweep under the 3rd chair, meant you belong here too. Maybe that was not enough. Maybe it had never been enough. At 6:30, I returned to the shop. The front gate was down, and the lights were on behind it. I used the new key. It stuck halfway. I pulled it out, turned it over, and tried again. Marcus opened the inner door before I finished. You're early. The key is cut badly. It worked for me. Your lock should not require luck. He stepped aside. The shop smelled of disinfectant and fresh coffee. The 3 new barbers stood near the stations. Kayla wore a black apron over jeans. The tall man introduced himself as Deshaun Price. The shorter one with glasses was Luis Ortega. Each had brought a mannequin head, though Luis's had a beard made of coarse synthetic hair that looked like carpet. "Mr. Lawson," Deshawn said, shaking my hand. "It's an honor." "Eddie is fine. Marcus said you don't like formal." "Marcus says many things." Marcus gave me a look. Jenna sat near the counter with her laptop open. "I'm finishing invoices," she said, "and observing." "Which one worries you more?" I asked. "Tonight?" "Observing." I looked toward the back. "The chair?" Marcus said. "We don't have time to move it." "The cabinet?" He reached into his pocket and handed me a small key. "See? Nothing dramatic." I went to the back room. He followed, then Deshawn and the others followed him. I unlocked the cabinet. My clippers were inside, but not where I kept them. The two corded Oster machines sat on the lower shelf. My straight razors, shears, combs, brushes, neck dusters, and clipper guards had been divided among 3 plastic trays. Each tray had one of the new barber's names on masking tape. "Why are my tools in their trays?" I asked. Marcus said, "For training." "Did you ask?" "You weren't using them. They were locked in my cabinet, and now they are being used to continue the business." I picked up my silver shears from Deshawn's tray. The thumb ring had a small leather insert Lorraine gave me because my knuckle had thickened. "These do not leave my hand without permission." Deshawn raised both palms. "I didn't know they were personal." "Everything in a barber's cabinet is personal," Marcus said. "We're not stealing your scissors." "Then put everything back." "They need tools. They are licensed barbers. They should own tools." Kayla looked at Marcus. "You said the shop provided the Lawson set." "The what?" I asked. Marcus answered quickly. "A starter set based on what you use." "This is what I use." Luis removed a comb from his tray and placed it on the shelf. "I brought my own kit." "Good," I said. "Use it." Deshawn returned the brush. Kayla put down 2 clipper guards. Marcus stood in the doorway with his jaw tight. "Can we begin?" "Once my things are back." The 3 barbers returned every item. I counted without making a show of counting. 1 small pair of mustache shears was missing. "Where are the short shears?" Marcus said. "Probably in another box." "Which box?" "Eddie, we have 2 hours." "Then find them quickly." Jenna came to the doorway. "Are these them?" She held up the shears from beside her laptop. Marcus used them to cut the ribbon off one of the pastry boxes. I took them and wiped the blades with alcohol. "Do not use haircutting shears on cardboard." "I told him," Jenna said. "Twice." Marcus rubbed his nose. "Can we train?" I carried my clippers, shears, combs, and straight razor case to the second new station. "We can train." He looked relieved until I added, "But nobody touches these unless I hand them over." "Fine." I began with consultation because every young barber wants to start with a blade, and every experienced barber knows the haircut has usually gone wrong before the cape is fastened. I asked Kayla to pretend Luis was a first-time customer. She asked what style he wanted. He said shorter on the sides. "That tells you almost nothing," I said. "How short? How high? Does he wear a hat? Does he work in an office where somebody cares? Does his wife think his forehead is getting larger?" Luis touched his hairline. "My wife has mentioned it." "Then she is part of the consultation whether she is present or not." Kayla smiled. Marcus stood behind us with his arms folded. "Keep moving," he said. "Clients don't want an interview. Clients do not want surprises. Our booking slots are 30 minutes. Then book 40. That cuts revenue. Fixing a bad cut costs more." Jenna stopped typing. Deshawn watched closely. Luis asked practical questions. Kayla learned quickly, and did not pretend she understood when she did not. Within 20 minutes, I forgot to be angry. Teaching did that to me. It turned irritation into a sequence of things that could be corrected. I showed them how to position the cape without trapping hair against the collar, how to hear a clipper blade dragging before it pulled, and how to check the cut from the doorway, because a head looked different from 6 feet away. Marcus interrupted twice to explain the shop's premium beard service. Both times he used words like ritual and elevated. "It is a hot towel and beard oil," I said after the second explanation. "People are allowed to enjoy it without joining a religion." Deshawn laughed. Marcus did not. At 8:15, I asked each of them to demonstrate a basic taper on the mannequin heads. Luis had solid hands but watched the mirror instead of the hair. Kayla was slow and careful. Deshawn's first line was too high. "Who taught you to begin there?" I asked. "Marcus." Marcus shifted. "It photographs cleaner. A photograph does not have to grow back." I showed Deshawn how to soften the line without climbing higher. His hands were steady, but he held his breath while working. "Breathe," I said. "I am. Not enough to live." He let out a laugh and lowered his shoulder. When he finished, the blend was not perfect, but it was honest. "Better," I said. "You see the shadow?" "Yes." "Good. Do not chase every shadow. Some belong to the head." He nodded as if I had given him something larger than a haircut. That made me uncomfortable, so I handed the mannequin back. At 8:40, Marcus announced we were finished. "We have 20 minutes, I said. "They've had a long day." Kayla looked relieved. Luis began packing. Deshawn remained at his station. "Could I ask about the beard mapping?" he said. Marcus answered for me. "That's in next week's advanced session." I looked at him. "What advanced session?" "We'll schedule it." "With whom?" "You. We agreed to tonight." "Tonight was orientation." "You called it training." "Same thing." "No." Marcus glanced toward the others. "We'll talk Monday." Deshawn looked from him to me. "I thought the Lawson program was 6 weeks." Nobody moved. I set my shears on the towel. "What program?" Marcus's face became smooth. "The internal development program. You told me 2 hours." "That was tonight." "How many nights?" "We're still working out the calendar." "Deshawn seems to have one." Deshawn reached into his backpack. Marcus said, "You don't need to show him that." Deshawn stopped. "Why not?" I asked. "Because this is not the time." "It has my name on it?" "The shop has your name on it." "That is not what I asked." Jenna closed her laptop. "Marcus, stay out of it. I have been staying out of too much." He looked at her. She met his eyes. Deshawn slowly pulled out a folded receipt and a 2-page printed schedule. "I paid for the Lawson Master Chair Program," he said. "Marcus said you trained him and you'd train us the same way." The receipt showed a payment of $2,800. Beneath the shop logo were the words, "6-week intensive with Eddie Lawson, founder and master barber." My name appeared again at the bottom beside a line that read, "Personal evaluation and professional reference included." I had never seen the document. I had never agreed to 6 weeks, a personal evaluation, or a reference. I looked at Kayla and Luis. Kayla opened her bag without being asked and removed an identical folder. Luis stared at the floor. "You paid too?" I asked. He nodded. $2,400. Marcus gave me a returning neighborhood discount. "Returning from where?" "I grew up 3 blocks over." Marcus stepped toward the papers. "This is a legitimate training program." "With an instructor who did not know it existed?" I asked. "You agreed to train them. Tonight." "You knew there would be follow-up." "No. We talked about continuity." "You talked." I was apparently expected to discover the rest through receipts. Deshawn held his paper carefully, as if it might be taken from him. "Mr. Lawson, are you not teaching the program?" The hope in his voice bothered me more than Marcus's anger. I looked at the 3 young barbers, each standing beside a matching station with my tools, only recently returned to the cabinet. Marcus had told customers my hands were unsafe while selling those same hands to people after closing. "I don't know yet," I said. Marcus turned toward me. "What does that mean?" "It means nobody leaves until you explain exactly what you sold them." He folded his arms. "I do not answer to you in front of staff." "Then refund them." Kayla looked up sharply. Marcus said, "No one is getting refunded because you are upset about a chair. This is not about the chair. It is all about the chair." The chair was the first thing I could see. Jenna stood and came around the counter. "Marcus, how many people paid?" "These 3. How much total?" "You handle the accounts." "Not the new payment platform. You said it was for appointment deposits." His eyes shifted toward her. That was enough. Jenna opened her laptop again. Give me the login. Tomorrow. Now. We're closed. The internet is not. He pressed his fingertips against his forehead. Everybody needs to calm down. That sentence has never calmed anyone, I said. Deshawn lowered the receipt. I quit another shop for this. Marcus looked at him. You did not quit for the training program. You quit because we offered you a chair. You said Eddie Lawson only trained 3 barbers in 35 years, and we were the next 3. I looked at Marcus. Who are the 3? You, him, whoever else. That is not an answer. It was promotional language. Names are not decoration. You trained me. Yes. You trained Pete Grady. Pete worked beside me for 9 months before moving to Erie. That counts. Who is the 3rd? Marcus did not answer. Kayla said quietly, the brochure says every Lawson, trained barber, opened a successful shop. Pete drives a school bus, I said. He cut hair for 2 years. Marcus looked at her. The point is, Eddie's methods are proven. I took the printed schedule from Deshawn and read the weekly headings. Week 1, Foundation and Consultation. Week 2, Signature Cuts. Week 3, Speed and Premium Service. Week 4, Client Psychology. Week 5, Business Systems. Week 6, Final Chair Evaluation by Eddie Lawson. Client Psychology? I said. What am I supposed to teach? When to ask about someone's divorce? Marcus gave a short laugh. You know customers. Knowing people is not a course. It can be. Not one I agreed to teach. Luis took off his apron. I need to know whether we should come Monday. Marcus answered. Yes, I said. I do not. Marcus turned toward me. You are not canceling my program in front of them. It uses my name. It uses the shop name. It says with Eddie Lawson, because you were supposed to be with it. Supposed by whom? Jenna closed the laptop halfway. Marcus, give them a straight answer. Did Eddie agree to 6 weeks? He looked at her for a long moment. Not in those exact words. Kayla let out a breath. Deshawn folded his receipt again. Luis put both hands into his jacket pockets. I felt something inside me shift away from the missing chair. Until that moment, I had wanted Marcus to correct the brochure, return my tools, and admit he had pushed too far because he was frightened of failing. Those things still mattered, but they were no longer the whole problem. He had collected money from 3 people by promising them my time, my judgment, and a future recommendation. If I walked away immediately, they lost what they had paid for. If I stayed quietly, Marcus learned he could keep selling parts of me as long as someone else would be hurt by my refusal. Monday, I said. 9 in the morning. All of us meet here before the first appointment. Marcus shook his head. We open at 8. Then 8. I have clients. Move them. No, I looked at the 3 barbers. Do not perform paid services under my name until we settle what you were promised. Marcus stepped closer. You cannot tell my staff not to work. I can tell them I did not approve the program carrying my name. They have employment agreements. That is between you and them, Deshawn asked. Are we employed or students? Marcus turned. Both. My paper says chair rental begins after week 2. That is still the plan, Kayla said. You told me the fee included the first month. It does. Luis looked at her. Mine doesn't. Marcus lifted his hands. Every package is different. Jenna stared at him. You made different packages? Based on need, without showing me? Because you would turn it into a spreadsheet for 3 weeks. It is money. It belongs in a spreadsheet. This is why I handled the launch. I looked down at the receipt again. At the bottom, under the line promising my personal evaluation, was a small note. All fees non-refundable after program commencement. The commencement date was that Saturday. The 2-hour session I had agreed to so Marcus would not feel abandoned had activated a fee I did not know existed. He had not only used my name, he had used my presence to make the sale harder to undo. I placed the receipt on the counter between us. Give me a copy of every agreement, I said. No. Then I will tell every customer Monday that I am not part of this. His face hardened. You would destroy the reopening over paperwork? You decided what tonight meant before I entered the building. Because I knew you would hesitate. You knew I would refuse. I knew you would find a reason to delay. That is not the same. It is when three people need jobs, Deshawn said. Don't put that on us. Marcus looked at him. I'm trying to build something for you. You told me he agreed. He is here, isn't he? Deshawn looked at me. The answer on my face must have been clear. He took one step back from the station. Jenna reached for the receipts. I'm making copies. Marcus placed his hand over them. Nobody is taking company documents. I looked at his hand. My name is on them. The company is called Lawson's. That may need to change. The words came out before I had decided how far I was willing to take them. Marcus stared at me. Jenna stopped breathing for a second. Kayla sat slowly in the nearest chair. Luis looked toward the locked gate. Deshawn kept his receipt in his hand. I had spent years believing the shop was the safest part of my relationship with Marcus, because work gave us rules. That night, I understood he had been changing the rules while I was still congratulating myself for giving him the keys. I did not sleep much that night. At 2 in the morning, I was still sitting at my kitchen table with Deshawn's receipt photographed on my phone and Marcus's glossy brochure beside Lorraine's picture. I kept returning to the same two lines. Concerns about the steadiness and safety of his work. 6-week intensive with Eddie Lawson. Publicly, my hands were too uncertain to hold a razor. Privately, they were valuable enough to sell for nearly $3,000 a person. The contradiction was so plain that I wanted to believe Marcus had made a foolish launch decision and would understand it once the room was quiet. That was one of my weaknesses with him. I confused the ability to explain a choice with the willingness to change it. At 6:30, I showered, put on a clean gray shirt, and drove to the shop. The streets were still damp from an overnight drizzle. A delivery truck blocked the bakery entrance, and 2 men were carrying flour sacks through the side door. Lawson's front gate was down. My new key entered the lock but would not turn. I tried it both ways. At 6:42, Marcus arrived carrying coffee and a paper bag. He stopped when he saw me. Why are you here? You said we meet before the first appointment. I said Monday. It is Monday. We agreed 8. You refused 8, then why are you here at 6:40? Because the key still does not work. He gave me one of the coffees, set the bag on the sidewalk, and tried the lock. It opened on his first attempt. You have to lift the gate slightly. Then it was installed badly. Everything that resists you is not broken. Most locks should not require interpretation. He raised the gate and opened the glass door. The alarm began chirping. He entered the code with his back turned. I had known the old code. I did not know the new one. What is the alarm number? I asked. Why? Because I have keys. You are not opening alone. Then why give me keys? For the back door during training. So I can enter after customers leave. He picked up the coffee bag. We are not starting with another lock discussion. We started with it yesterday. We have employees arriving. Students or employees? Marcus pushed the door closed behind us. Both. That answer caused trouble last night. Only because you made it sound suspicious. It is suspicious. It is a modern training model. Then why are the contracts different? Because Deshawn is on salary, Kayla rents a chair after training, and Luis is part-time. Did they understand that? They signed. They understood different versions of what you told them. Marcus walked behind the counter and switched on the lights. You have not read the agreements. You would not let me, because they contain private information. They contain my name, Eddie. I am willing to discuss a solution, but not if you walk in acting like I cheated 3 helpless children. They are licensed adults. Adults can still be lied to. I did not lie. Did I agree to 6 weeks? He opened the pastry bag and took out a croissant. You agreed to help me establish the team. When? For the last 2 years. Every time you said the shop would eventually be mine. That is not an agreement to teach a paid course. You always hide behind exact wording. Exact wording matters when you charge somebody $2,800. He tore the croissant in half and ate one piece while standing. The fee includes chair setup, branding photos, booking support, supplies, and 6 weeks of supervision. Supervision by whom? Me? You? The shop? That is not a person. You taught them last night. For 2 hours, which was the first session. I stared at him. You used my being there to make the fee non-refundable. That clause prevents people from receiving training and then demanding money back. They received one evening they were told would begin 6 weeks with me. You are making it sound calculated. Was it? He wiped pastry flakes from his jacket. I knew if I tried to settle every detail with you in advance, the opening would never happen. That means yes. It means you delay. I delay when I do not trust the plan. You do not trust any plan you did not design. That was not entirely false, which made it difficult to answer cleanly. I removed my jacket and hung it on the peg behind the counter. My old peg was still there. The small brass plate beneath it said Eddie. Marcus had removed photographs, chairs, tools, and half my access, but had left the peg. Show me the agreements, I said. Jenna is bringing copies. And the payment account? She is reviewing it. How much did you collect? That is part of the review. You know the number. Approximately 70. 600. Approximately? Kayla paid in installments. Where is the money? In the business. The shop account? A business account. Which one? He looked at the clock. I have a 7:30. You told us 8. I moved Mr. Park earlier. Cancel him. No. You agreed to a meeting. I agreed to talk before the day became busy. We are talking. You are eating breakfast. That does not prevent speech. I picked up the shop phone and looked at the appointment display. Mr. Park was booked at 7:30 with Marcus. Deshawn had appointments at 8, 9, and 10. Kayla was scheduled at 8:30. Luis had no clients until the afternoon. You booked them for paid work, I said. They are licensed. Deshawn's agreement says chair rental starts after week 2. He is salaried during training. Does he know? Yes. Then why did he ask whether he was an employee or student? Because you confused him. The front gate rattled. Deshawn stood outside with his backpack and a garment bag. Marcus crossed the room and lifted the gate. Morning, he said brightly. Ready for your first full day? Deshawn looked past him at me. Are we meeting first? We are, I said. Marcus held the door open. We'll meet between clients. Deshawn did not enter immediately. I thought no paid services until this was settled. Eddie does not set your employment schedule, Marcus said, but the program has his name. And he is here. Deshawn stepped inside, though slowly. He carried his own clippers this time. He placed the case on the 3rd station and removed a black apron embroidered with Lawson's Master Chair Program. Where did that come from? I asked. Marcus gave it to us yesterday. After I left? Before the opening. I didn't wear it because he said we were keeping the program private until launch week. Marcus went behind the counter. It is an internal apron. It has letters 2 inches high. Internal does not mean invisible. Deshawn opened his garment bag. Inside was a dark green Barber jacket with his name stitched over the pocket. I need a straight answer, he said. Are you teaching the 6 weeks? I agreed to last night, Marcus said. He did not ask you, I replied. Deshawn watched me. I have not agreed, I said. I am here to find out what you were promised, and what can be corrected. Corrected how? That depends on what you want after you know the truth. Marcus set a tablet on the counter. The truth is, you received more hands-on instruction in 2 hours than most programs provide in a week. That is not the question, Deshawn said. Marcus looked at him. You have a client at 8. I left Murray's on the promise that I would train directly under Eddie for 6 weeks. You are training under the Lawson system. That phrase was not in the interview. The front door opened again. Kayla entered carrying a travel mug and a rolling case. Luis followed behind her. Are we doing the meeting? Kayla asked. Apparently all morning, Marcus said. Luis closed the door and remained near it. My wife says I should ask for the refund before I work. Marcus laughed lightly. Your wife has not read the agreement. She read mine. Then she knows the program began yesterday. She says that clause may not matter if Eddie did not agree. Is your wife a lawyer? She manages a gym. Then perhaps she should manage a gym. Luis's face changed. He took one step toward Marcus. I moved between them before either decided what the next sentence should be. Sit, I said. All of you. Eddie, Marcus warned. 7:30 is in 20 minutes. Sit. I pulled 4 of the waiting chairs into a half circle. Deshaun sat first. Kayla took the chair beside him. Luis remained standing until Jenna arrived with her laptop bag and a thick brown envelope. She saw the arrangement and closed the front door behind her. Good, she said. Everyone is here. Marcus looked at the envelope. You printed confidential material? I removed addresses, tax numbers, and banking details. You had no right. I processed the shop's accounts, not that account. That is also going to be discussed. She sat on the arm of the last chair. Marcus stayed behind the counter. I said, start with what each person believed they bought. This is not how a staff meeting works, Marcus said. Jenna replied. Then call it a refund meeting. Marcus's face tightened. Nobody is being refunded this morning. Kayla raised her hand slightly, as if she were in school. Can I go first? You do not need permission, I said. She opened her folder. Marcus told me the $2,800 covered 6 weeks of training with you, my station deposit, professional photos, 2 sets of branded supplies, and my first 4 weeks of chair rent. He said after week 2 I could start taking clients under supervision. The contract says the chair rent starts after the program, but the payment page he sent me says the first month is included. Jenna held out her hand. May I see the payment page? Kayla gave her the phone. Jenna read it and took a photograph. Marcus said, that was an early promotional offer. Then it should be in the contract, Jenna replied. She received the offer in writing. A text is not a contract. It is still a promise. Deshaun spoke next. I paid $2,800. Marcus offered me a weekly salary during training, then a percentage arrangement afterward. He said I would work beside Eddie, watch him handle long-term clients, learn the Lawson consultation method, and receive a signed recommendation from both of you. I said you would work inside the Lawson environment, Marcus replied. You said Eddie will be in the next chair. He was last night. Deshaun stared at him. For one evening. The schedule was still being finalized. Luis took out his agreement. I paid $2,400 because I brought my own tools and did not need photographs. Marcus said Eddie would train us Monday and Wednesday nights for 6 weeks, then observe 1 Saturday of clients. My paper says the program includes 30 hours with Eddie Lawson. He looked at me. Did you agree to 30 hours? No. Did you know my name before last night? No. Luis nodded, folded his agreement, and put it back in the envelope. Then, I want the money returned. Marcus walked from behind the counter. You are reacting before hearing what I can provide. You cannot provide Eddie. He is standing here. That does not mean he belongs to you. The room went quiet. I looked at Luis. He seemed embarrassed by how strong the sentence sounded, but he did not take it back. Jenna opened the brown envelope and passed me 3 copies. The agreements were similar but not identical. Deshaun's named him a salaried associate participating in advanced development. Kayla's described an independent chair pathway. Luis's called him a neighborhood scholarship participant, even though he had paid $2,400. Each document used my name between 6 and 11 times. Each promised personal evaluation. None included my signature. In a small paragraph near the end, Marcus had written that instruction could be provided by Eddie Lawson or an approved Lawson method representative. Who is an approved representative? I asked. Me. Who approved you? You trained me. That does not answer the question. I am the only person who knows your full method. There is no full method. You have done the same consultation sequence for 30 years. That is called asking a customer what he wants. You say that because you do it naturally. Then how are you selling it for thousands? Marcus looked at Jenna. You said you were only bringing copies. I said I was bringing what we needed. She opened the laptop. The payment account received $7,600. 6,912 remains after processing fees. Where's the rest? I asked. Transferred Friday to the renovation checking account, Jenna said. Marcus interrupted. To cover vendor balances. Which vendors? Lighting. Mirrors. The launch materials. My false brochure, I said. The brochure was one invoice. How much is available for refunds? Jenna looked at the screen. In the training account? $38.17. Kayla stared at Marcus. You spent it before we began? I invested it in the shop where you will work. You said the fees were held until the program started. It started yesterday. Deshawn stood. After you spent the money. That is how business works. Revenue supports operations. Not if you sold something you cannot provide. Marcus pointed toward me. I can provide it if he stops making a family disagreement your problem. I felt the room move toward me. That was what he wanted, whether he knew it or not. If I refused, 3 people might lose money and jobs. If I agreed, his decision became practical enough for everyone to forgive. Do not put your promise in my mouth, I said. I built the program because you said you wanted to pass the shop down. Passing down a shop is not selling my calendar without asking. You were never going to pick a date. Then you should have set one with me. I tried. You hinted. Because direct questions make you retreat. You could have accepted that as an answer. And wait another 5 years? His voice rose. I have spent half my life waiting for you to decide when I am ready. Jenna looked toward the front window. Mr. Park was approaching with his umbrella under one arm. Marcus saw him and adjusted his jacket. We have a client. Cancel, Jenna said. We are not canceling opening week. Mr. Park tried the door. Marcus opened it and smiled. Morning. We're running a few minutes behind. No hurry, Mr. Park said. He saw me. Eddie. Thought you were done. So did I. Marcus gave me a warning look. Mr. Park sat near the window and unfolded a newspaper. The conversation could not continue openly with him there. Marcus took advantage of that at once. Deshawn, set up Station 3. Kayla, review today's bookings. Luis, shadow until lunch. Luis did not move. I asked for my refund. Jenna is reviewing options. She said there are $38. Mr. Park lowered the newspaper slightly. Marcus smiled without looking at him. We will handle private matters privately. I took the agreements and moved toward the back room. Everyone who paid should come with me. Marcus blocked the hallway. No, then we continue here. You are not taking my staff into the back to organize against me. They are not fence posts. This is my workplace. My name is on the sign, lease, phone account, equipment invoices, client list, and every paper you sold them. You said paperwork did not make a shop. It matters when you want authority. Mr. Park folded his newspaper. I can come back. Marcus turned. You do not need to. I think I do. He stood, looked at me and said, call me when you know who works here. Then he left. The door closed softly behind him. Marcus stared through the glass until Mr. Park reached the corner. You just cost me a client. Your brochure cost me more than one. There. That is what this is. You want me to hurt because your pride is hurt. My work is not unsafe. Then prove it by teaching. You cannot insult me publicly and rent me privately. I did not insult you. You printed it. I explained your retirement. I am not retired. You should be. The words came out fast. Marcus looked as surprised as the rest of us. Jenna stood. Marcus. He rubbed his nose hard enough to leave a red mark. I mean, he should not have to work. That is not what you said, I replied. Fine. You should not be cutting 10-hour days. I do not. You should not be responsible for every client who walks in. I am not asking to be. Then why are you fighting every change? Because you built the change out of lies. I built it because you would not leave room. You removed my chair. It was one chair. It was the only place in the shop where you had to remember I still belonged. Marcus's face went still. The sentence had come from somewhere. I usually kept covered with practical language. I regretted saying it in front of the others, not because it was false, but because it was too naked. Jenna looked down. Kayla studied her hands. Marcus said, "You own the building lease and half the accounts. No chair could erase you." "Then why hide it?" "Because I knew you would act exactly like this. You have used that answer for every choice you knew was wrong." He turned away and walked behind the counter. "We are done for today. Refund them. I cannot return money that paid shop expenses, then pay it from the main account." "No, the main account has funds for rent and payroll. The rent is paid through next month. You do not understand the new costs. I paid the insurance renewal. And that is the problem. You pay something and believe you own the decision." I almost said that paying bills did give me a right to know. Instead, I looked at the three barbers. Kayla's eyes were wet. Deshaun seemed angry enough to stay calm. Luis had already zipped his case. They had walked into a family argument because Marcus had attached their futures to it. "No clients today under the training program," I said. "I will spend this morning reviewing what each of you knows. No one pays anything else. Jenna calculates what portion of each fee can be returned and what services have actually been provided. Marcus posts a written notice that my role has not been finalized." Marcus laughed. "You do not get to issue orders. Then I leave, take my tools, remove my name from the program, and tell them clearly I will not teach. And their money? Your responsibility." Kayla looked at him. "Can you refund us?" Marcus's silence answered before his mouth did. "Not immediately," he said. "The money is working inside the business." "That means no," Luis replied. Deshaun asked me, "If we stay this week, will you teach us?" I looked at him. I knew the careful answer. I had not agreed. Marcus had no right to force me. If I said no, I protected the boundary. But I also saw the old Barber case Deshaun had carried from another job, the green jacket he had bought for a place he thought would be stable, and the way Kayla kept rubbing the edge of her agreement with one thumb. "For 1 week," I said. Marcus's head came up. "Eddie." I kept looking at the three of them. "I will teach Monday and Wednesday evenings, and observe Saturday morning. That is 12 hours, not 30. During that week, you decide whether the work, chair terms, and shop are what Marcus represented. Jenna determines what money remains owed or refundable. My name appears on nothing new. No photographs, posts, advertisements, or references without my written approval." Deshaun nodded slowly. Kayla asked, "What happens after Saturday?" "We decide with accurate information." Luis said, "And if I still want out?" "Then Marcus owes you a refund based on what you did not receive." Marcus stepped forward. "That is not your decision. Then make a better offer." He looked from one face to another. 1 week only creates more uncertainty. You created the uncertainty. I need 6 weeks to make the program viable. You needed 6 weeks before you sold it. Jenna said. "Take the week." He turned toward her. "You are supposed to be on my side. I am trying to keep the business open. By letting him walk in and take over? By preventing 3 complaints and a public argument during launch week." Marcus looked at me. "You planned this. At 2 this morning, I was still trying to believe you would correct it yourself." He did not answer. Deshaun removed the embroidered apron and placed it on the counter. "I'll stay for the week," he said. "But I'm using my own tools." Kayla set hers beside his. "Me too." Luis kept his jacket on. "I will come to the classes." "I'm not taking clients," Marcus said. "Then you will not be paid." "I was told I was a student. You are both." "Today I choose student." Marcus shook his head. "This is absurd." "It is Monday," I said. "You wanted modern." The agreement was not written because none of us trusted the wording Marcus would choose, and Jenna said she needed the morning to produce something neutral. Deshaun canceled his first 3 clients. Kayla called the people booked with her and said the shop had delayed her schedule. Marcus took Mr. Lee, Park's empty slot, and spent the hour cutting a walk-in who wanted a skin fade and did not care who owned which chair. I moved my tools back into the cabinet and changed the small cabinet lock myself, using one I bought from the hardware store around the corner. Marcus watched from the mirror but said nothing. I gave one key to Jenna and kept the other. At 11, he asked why he did not receive one. Because you distributed the tools without asking. They are shop equipment. The invoices are in my name. You are proving my point. Which point? That you use ownership to control access. Yes, I said. That is one purpose of ownership. He looked away. The week began badly and became more complicated each day. On Monday evening, I taught consultation and basic taper work again, this time with 3 volunteer customers instead of mannequin heads. Deshaun brought his younger brother, Kayla brought her uncle, and Luis persuaded a neighbor named Omar to sit for a trim. I wrote each volunteer's requested cut on an index card and asked the barber to repeat it before starting. Marcus wanted to record the session for internal review. I told him no. He placed his phone face down on the counter, though I noticed the camera light had already been on. "Turn it off," I said. "It is off. Unlock it. You don't trust anything." "Correct." He unlocked the phone. A video timer showed 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Deshaun saw it. Kayla saw it. Marcus deleted the clip while we watched. "This is exactly why we need written permissions," he said. "You had no permission." "I was documenting the training they paid for." "Then ask them." He looked at the 3 barbers. "Does anyone object?" They all did. He pocketed the phone. During the session, I found that Deshaun understood shape but rushed near the ears. Kayla had excellent control with shears and very little confidence with clippers. Luis had the strongest fundamentals but resisted any correction that sounded like a rule. "Why do I have to stand on this side?" he asked when I repositioned him. "You don't. Stand where you can see." "Then why move me?" "Because you were bending your wrist to compensate." He tried again and saw the difference. "You could have said that." "I thought I did." "You said, 'Stand here.' That is saying it. Not why." I looked at him. "Fair." Marcus, leaning against the counter, said, "Eddie teaches by command. You learn the reason later." "That is not praise," I replied. "It was not criticism." "Then it was unnecessary." Marcus left before the session ended. Jenna stayed to lock up. When the volunteers had gone, she handed me a 1-page temporary agreement. It stated that I would provide 12 hours of instruction for 1 week, without accepting payment, and without committing to further work. The trainees could leave during or after the week and receive an accounting of unused services. Marcus had not signed it. "Why no payment?" I asked. "If the business pays you, he will say you accepted the program." "Correct. You thought of that?" "I work in billing. People accidentally approve things every day." "Is he coming back?" "Eventually." "Where did he go?" "To meet someone about the launch." "What someone?" "He did not say." She closed the laptop. "Eddie, I need to ask you something. That usually means I will dislike it. Did you ever tell Marcus the shop would become his when you retired?" "Yes." "Did you define retired?" "Not working." "You already work fewer days." "I am not retired." "I know. But he may believe the condition is already happening." "Then he should ask." "You both keep waiting for the other person to use the words that frighten you." "You sound like Lorraine." "She told me that once." "When?" "The summer before she died. Marcus was angry you would not add him to the lease. She said neither of you would admit the lease was really about whether you considered him your son." I looked at her. He was 29. Age does not make that question disappear. I told him the landlord would increase the security deposit. That was true. "Then why is everyone treating practical facts like personal crimes?" "Because sometimes the practical fact is the door you choose to stand behind." I put the temporary agreement into my folder. "Did Marcus tell you to say this?" "Marcus does not tell me much anymore." "That is not an answer." "No, he did not." She picked up the branded aprons and stacked them. "I think he has done something dishonest because he is afraid you will never give him the part of the shop that feels like family. I also think being afraid does not entitle him to sell you." "That is close to what I think." "Then do not spend the week only proving he lied. Figure out what you will actually do with the shop." "I own it." "That is not what I asked." On Tuesday, Marcus changed the shop website. The sentence about safety concerns disappeared. In its place was a photograph from the reopening with me standing beside him under the cut ribbon. The caption read, Founder Eddie Lawson returns this week to launch the next generation of Lawson, trained professionals. There was no mention that my participation was temporary or disputed. I learned about it when Mr. Russo called at 8:15. So retirement lasted a weekend, he said. I was never retired. The website says you returned. I never left. That brochure says different. Throw it away. I kept it. Might be valuable after you two become famous. We are not becoming famous. That's what famous people always say. After we hung up, I opened the website on my computer. Below the photograph was a button labeled, Join the Next Master Chair Cohort. I clicked it. A form asked for a name, phone number, current license status, and preferred financing plan. Cohort, I said aloud in my empty kitchen. I called Marcus. He did not answer. I called Jenna. Have you seen the website? I asked. Not this morning. There is a new application form. For what? The next group he is not allowed to sell. I heard typing. Then she said, Oh no. How many people have filled it out? I cannot see from here. Remove the page. I do not have administrator access. Who does? Marcus and the marketing company. Call them. I need Marcus's authorization. The Lawson name is mine. Online access is not controlled by the sign. That sentence is going to make me break something. Do not break your computer. I will call him. Marcus answered Jenna before he answered me. She called back 20 minutes later. He says the form is only an interest list. It says financing plan. He says no payment is being collected. Yet. I told him to remove your photograph. And he said you agreed to teach this week and the photograph is accurate. The caption is not. I know. Can the company remove it? Not without the account holder. Who is the account holder? Marcus. Who pays the monthly charge? She was quiet. The main shop card. My account. The card is attached, but the web contract is in his name. Cancel the card. That may take the whole site down. Good. It also takes down appointments. Less good. I am trying to separate the services. How long? A day, maybe 2. Do it. Eddie, that is a business decision. Yes. Marcus will say you are sabotaging the launch. He can say it without a website. I drove to the shop before noon. The waiting area was full. Marcus was cutting a man I did not know. Deshawn stood near the shampoo sink observing. Kayla was practicing on a mannequin between appointments. Louise had not come in. Marcus saw me in the mirror. We are busy. Take down the website page. I am with a client. Then answer when you finish. I sat near Mr. Russo, who was waiting for his regular cut. He leaned toward me. You look dangerous. Apparently I am improving. Marcus's client glanced at my hands. I folded them in my lap. 10 minutes later, a woman entered with a teenage boy and asked whether Eddie Lawson was available. Marcus turned in the chair. Eddie is no longer taking regular clients. The website says he is back. He is teaching. My father came here for 20 years. We can match him with Deshawn. The woman looked at Deshawn, who looked uncomfortable. We drove from Monroeville. I stood. What does your son need? The boy pulled off his cap. One side of his hair had been cut shorter than the other, and a pale line crossed the back. Picture Day Friday, his mother said. Someone at the mall did this. Marcus said. Deshawn can correct it. Deshawn looked at me. I knew he wanted the chance, and wanted me beside him. I also knew that taking the boy would make the website feel true. Deshawn can do it, I said. I will observe. Marcus smiled in the mirror. Exactly what the program promises. I ignored him. Deshawn consulted with the boy, explained that fixing the line would require taking the back shorter, and asked whether the school allowed hats if he disliked the result. The boy smiled for the first time. Deshawn worked slowly. I corrected his angle once and stopped him from climbing higher around the crown. The finished cut was not what the boy had wanted before the mall, but it was balanced and clean. His mother thanked both of us and paid at the counter. Marcus rang the service under Deshawn's name, then added a line labeled Lawson Training Oversight $35. What is that? I asked. Premium correction fee. Remove it. You supervised. She did not agree to a supervision charge. It is on the service menu. Where? He pointed to a framed card near the register. The card had not been there Saturday. Under specialty services, it listed founder review $35. Take it down, I said. Customers are paying for your involvement. I am not being paid. The shop is. The woman looked from him to me. I thought the correction was 45. It is, I said. Marcus replied. The founder review is listed separately. I did not ask for that. She pulled her card back from the reader. Marcus's face tightened. I removed the framed card from the wall and placed it under the counter. Charge 45. He stared at me, then changed the amount. After she left, he said, You embarrassed me. You added a fee after the work. It is on the menu, a menu you printed without telling me. I cannot ask permission for every price. You can when the price uses me. You supervised. Why should the shop not charge? Because I volunteered 1 week to help people you misled. That is not a product. Deshaun removed his apron. Was any part of that fee mine? Marcus looked at him. You receive salary. How much? We discussed it. You said the first 2 weeks were training, stipend, then salary. My contract says salary starts immediately. The stipend is the salary. They were different numbers in the interview. Marcus rubbed his nose again. Not in front of customers. There are no customers left, Mr. Russo said from the waiting area. We had forgotten him. Marcus looked toward him. Mr. Russo, I can take you now. I came for Eddie. Eddie is not taking clients. Mr. Russo stood, removed his windbreaker, and sat in the second black chair. Then I'll sit here until he changes his mind. Marcus looked at me. I should have refused. The week was temporary. The chair was not mine. Every service made the new publicity easier to defend. But Mr. Russo had been in my chair the day Lorraine called to say her biopsy was bad. He had stayed after closing while I swept the same patch of floor 3 times. He had driven to her funeral in a borrowed car because his own would not start. Cape him, I said to Deshaun. Marcus stepped away from the station. I used my own clippers and cut Mr. Russo's hair the way I had for 22 years. Short around the ears, longer at the crown, no square corners, because his wife disliked them. My thumb locked once when I changed guards. I set the clipper down, opened and closed my hand, and continued. Marcus watched from the first station. I could feel him noticing. Mr. Russo noticed too. Cold weather? He asked. Air conditioning. Still works? My thumb, or the air? Both. So far. When I finished, he looked in the mirror. Unsafe as ever, he said. Keep turning your head and I'll prove it. He paid the old price in cash and refused the receipt. Marcus said nothing until the door closed. You just demonstrated why I was right. About what? You needed to stop during the cut. My thumb locked. A customer saw. A customer who has seen it for 10 years. Other people will not know that. Then say my thumb locks. Do not say my work is unsafe. You cannot build a premium business around explanations. Then do not build it around me. You are here cutting. Because you told people I would be, and because you wanted to. That was true. I hated him for saying it at the right moment. Take down the website page, I said. Finish the week. Those are separate. Not to me. Everything is separate to you until it helps your argument. He walked toward the back room. The page stays while you teach. Then the credit card paying for the website does not. He stopped. What did you do? Jenna is separating the appointment service from the marketing site. You cannot shut down my site. My card pays for it. I will replace the card. Then pay for the thing you control. You are trying to make the launch fail. I am trying to stop my name being sold. Same result. He disappeared into the office and shut the door. Deshaun looked at me. Should I come Wednesday? Yes. Will there still be a shop? Probably. That was not comforting. I was not trying to comfort you. I've noticed, by Wednesday morning, the application form was gone, but the photograph and caption remained. The appointment system stayed active after Jenna moved it to a separate account. Marcus paid the marketing company with his personal card. He told everyone I had tried to shut down the shop. Kayla heard the story from a customer before she heard it from him. Luis arrived for the evening session, carrying a written request for a full refund. Marcus refused to sign that he had received it. Jenna signed as a witness. We trained for 3 hours on beard shaping and razor preparation. I did not teach client psychology. Marcus stayed in the office most of the evening, making calls. At 9:15, after the others left, he came out holding the old red leather armrest from my chair. "The upholstery cracked when we moved it," he said. A narrow split ran along the underside where the leather had folded. "Who did this?" "The contractor." "Which contractor?" "I do not know. You keep using men without names." "Why would I memorize the mover who carried one chair?" "Because it was not yours to move." He set the armrest on the counter. "I can have it repaired." "Put the chair back together." "It is together." "Then bring it out." "The new stations are bolted. There is space by the window." "For what? A display?" "For me to work Saturday." "We agreed you would observe." "Mr. Russo asked for an appointment." "You are proving you are not retired." "I never said I was." "You cannot keep cutting and still expect me to lead." "Why?" "Because everyone looks at you before they answer me." "That is not because of the chair." "No, it is because you let them." I picked up the armrest. "How do I stop them?" "Support me." "By agreeing with lies?" "By not correcting me in front of staff." "Then speak accurately in front of staff. You always need the last word." "You keep giving me things that require correction." He laughed without humor. "Do you remember when I was 17 and cut Mr. Lewis too high over the ear?" "Yes." "You made me call him that night. You needed to apologize. You stood beside the phone while I did it. Because you would have avoided the call, you never let me make the mistake and decide how to fix it. You were 17. I am 40 now, and you still stand beside the phone. You sold my time without asking. Because I knew you could help. That does not make it yours." He leaned both hands on the counter. "What is mine, Eddie?" The shop was quiet except for the refrigerator in the back room. I could have answered with a list. His stations, his clients, his new mirrors, his loan, his appointments. The words all sounded smaller than the question. "Your work," I said. "Your decisions, once they do not spend someone else." "The shop?" "Not entirely." "Your name?" "No." "The customers I brought in?" "Yours, if they choose you." "The customers who came because of the sign?" "They choose when they sit." "There is always a condition." "Because some things are shared." "Shared means yours until I prove I deserve them." "No." "Then when does Lawson's become mine?" "When we agree on what that means." "We have talked for years." "We have circled it." "Because you like the circle." "You stay in the middle." I set the damaged armrest down. "What did you want me to say?" "That it is mine." "It is not." His eyes hardened. "Then stop pretending this is about a brochure." "It began with the brochure. It began before Lorraine died. Do not use your mother to win an argument. You use her every time you remind me what you did for us." "I did not remind you." "You do not have to. The shop does it for you." He walked to the front gate and looked out at the dark sidewalk. "She wanted me to have this place. She wanted us to work together. She told Jenna you would never let go. She told me you would mistake being trusted for being owed." Marcus turned. "Did she?" "Yes." "When?" "During the last winter." "Convenient." "You asked." "No. I asked what is mine." "You answered with a dead woman's warning." I regretted the sentence the moment I saw his face. "Marcus." "No. Keep the chair in storage. Cut Saturday. Teach your week. Make everyone remember who built the place." He unlocked the gate. "Then decide whether you are my father, my landlord, my instructor, or just the man who owns everything." He left before I could choose a useful answer. On Thursday, I made my mistake worse. Jenna called at 9 and told me Deshawn's former employer had contacted him. Murray's had heard he was involved in a disputed program and offered his old position back if he returned by Monday. Deshawn wanted to stay at Lawson's but needed to know whether the 6-week training would continue. Kayla's uncle had loaned her part of the fee and was demanding that she leave before she lost more. Luis had already filed a dispute with his credit card company for $800 of his payment. The rest had been paid by check. "What do you want me to do?" I asked. "I want you and Marcus to settle the program before Saturday." "That is not possible." "Then choose what you can promise." I promised 1 week. "The uncertainty is hurting them." "Marcus hurt them." "Yes. But you are here now." That sentence caught me in the same place Marcus had. If I had never entered, the responsibility would have remained clearly his. By agreeing to 1 week, I had stepped into the structure he built. Every hour I taught made the promise partly real. "I will finish 6 weeks," I said. Jenna was quiet. "Under what conditions?" "The 3 current barbers only. No new fees. No new applications. No use of my name beyond saying I am teaching these 3. Written refunds available if any of them leave." Marcus corrects the retirement language and removes the safety claim everywhere it appears. "That may keep them." "It is for them." Marcus will call it an agreement, then write exactly what it is. "Are you sure?" I looked at Lorraine's picture on the kitchen shelf. "No. That is not your usual answer. I'm trying something new." We met that afternoon in the shop office. It was barely large enough for 3 chairs and a file cabinet. Marcus arrived 10 minutes late and read Jenna's draft without sitting. "No," he said. "Which part?" she asked. "All of it. He does not get to dictate how I market the program." "Then there is no program," I said. "You just offered 6 weeks. Under conditions. Conditions that make it look like I did something wrong." "You did. There it is." He dropped the paper on the desk. "You want a confession in every advertisement." "I want the false statements removed." "They are removed. The brochure still exists." "I cannot chase every copy." "Post a correction." "No." "Then no 6 weeks." Jenna pushed the draft back toward him. "Marcus, the trainees need an answer." "They have an answer. They work here." "Luis does not." "Luis wants free training and a refund." "He paid $2,400. And has received 6 hours already," I said. "At your rate, that makes me expensive." "You are. Then pay me." "You said you did not want payment." "I do not. I want you to hear how easily you assign value to something you did not purchase." He paced once across the small office. "What wording do you want?" I gave him a printed sentence. "Eddie Lawson remains an active licensed barber." Previous language suggesting safety concerns was inaccurate. His current instruction is limited to the 3 named participants already enrolled. Marcus read it and shook his head. "That makes the shop look fraudulent." "Then write a better truthful version." "There is no version that does not make me look incompetent." "That is not the same as false." He sat at last. "What if I say your schedule changed during renovation and you are returning temporarily to assist the transition?" "No, I did not leave." "You stopped working while construction happened." "The shop was closed." "Technically true." "And misleading." He looked at Jenna. "Do you see why nothing can be solved with him?" "I see 2 people treating language like custody," she said. "Right. Founder Eddie Lawson continues to cut a limited schedule and will mentor our 3 newest barbers during their first 6 weeks. Earlier, promotional wording about his retirement was premature." I said, "And the safety sentence? Remove every digital copy. Do not repeat it." Marcus asked. "Do I have to publicly call it inaccurate?" "Yes," I said. Jenna replied. "No. The word premature corrects the retirement part, and removing the safety language avoids repeating it." I did not like it. Marcus did not like it. That was probably why it was usable. He agreed to post Jenna's wording by Friday morning. In exchange, I agreed to the 6-week schedule for the current 3 only. Luis would receive a partial refund if he still left after Saturday. Kayla's first month of chair rent would be honored. Deshawn's salary would begin that week at the amount Marcus had stated in his interview. No founder review fee would be charged. No recordings would be made without permission. We all signed. The document did not settle the shop, the name, my chair, or what Marcus believed he owned. It settled the immediate harm to 3 people. I told myself that was enough for 1 week. Friday morning, Jenna's wording appeared on the website. The photograph remained. The application form did not return. Mr. Russo called to tell me Marcus had posted a video on social media announcing that, due to overwhelming demand, Eddie has agreed to extend his master instruction through the summer. Did you agree through the summer? Mr. Russo asked. 6 weeks. Summer sounds warmer. I found the video. Marcus stood in front of the gold-lettered mirrors. He thanked the neighborhood for supporting the relaunch and said Lawson's was bringing legacy and innovation together. He did not repeat the safety claim. He did not say I had retired. He also did not mention the disagreement, limited enrollment, or refunds. The 3 new barbers appeared behind him wearing the embroidered aprons. Deshawn looked uncomfortable. Kayla smiled because a camera pointed at her. Luis was not present. I watched the video twice. It did not violate the exact language of our agreement. It violated the spirit so completely that I wondered whether the spirit had ever been shared. I drove to the shop intending to argue. When I arrived, 6 customers were waiting. 2 had asked for Deshawn because they had seen the video. Kayla was cutting her uncle. Marcus was at the first station, and my red chair had been brought from the back room. It stood near the window with the damaged armrest taped in place. A small brass sign sat on the seat. Eddie Lawson, founder emeritus. What is this? I asked. Marcus turned from his client. You wanted the chair out. I wanted to use it. You can tomorrow. Remove the sign. It helps customers understand your role. My role is not emeritus. It means respected former leader. Former. You are mentoring. I am cutting tomorrow. On a limited schedule. Then the sign can say Saturday. His client watched us in the mirror. Marcus smiled. We'll adjust it after lunch. I removed the brass sign and put it under the counter. Then I examined the chair. The hydraulic pump still held. The scrape on the base had been polished but remained visible. The taped armrest shifted when I pressed it. Who brought it out? I asked. I did. Alone? Deshawn helped. Deshawn glanced over. We carried it. We didn't drag it. Thank you, Marcus said. You see? I listened. You turned it into a display. Nothing is enough. Permission would have been enough. He went back to his client. I spent Friday afternoon repairing the armrest in the back room. The leather could not be restored fully, but I fitted a thin backing piece underneath and used a flexible adhesive along the split. Deshawn came in between clients and held the leather while it set. Why stay? I asked him. At Lawson's? Yes. He considered it. Because I watched you fix that boy's cut without making me feel stupid. You made mistakes. You said what they were. That is normal. Not everywhere. He adjusted his grip on the leather. Marcus believes in me too. I know. He just sells the belief before he earns it. I looked at him. That is a good description. He told me you were hard. He was accurate. He also said you would never let him lead while you were alive. Did he say alive? He said, until Eddie is in the ground, but I thought that sounded harsh. My fingers stopped against the armrest. When? During the interview. What else did he say? Deshawn's expression changed. I don't want to carry messages between you. That is wise. He said the shop was already his in practice. He said the official transfer was delayed because you were sentimental about the sign. Did he mention the lease? No. The equipment? He said everything was included in the succession. Succession. That was his word. And what did he say I would do for 6 weeks? He said you had agreed to train us because you wanted your last contribution to be building the team that replaced you. The leather slipped. I caught it before it touched the floor. Replaced me. He said transitioned after that. Which did you hear first? Replaced. I pressed the backing into place again. Thank you for telling me. Are you leaving the program? Not because of that sentence. Because of something else? I don't know yet. He nodded. That is more honest than what I've been getting. Saturday arrived with every chair booked. I cut Mr. Russo at 9 and Fred Bell at 10. Fred watched my hands closely. Marcus said you were easing back in, he said. I never eased out. He said there were concerns. Did you have one? About what? My work. Fred looked embarrassed. I mentioned the nick. You turned your head. I know. Then why tell him? He asked whether there had been any incidents. He used that word? He was filling out an insurance form. I put down the comb. What insurance form? I don't know. He asked if I remembered any cuts, burns, falls, complaints. I thought he was reviewing safety. When? A month ago. Before the reopening. Before the brochure. Marcus had not collected a stray complaint after deciding to announce my retirement. He had gone looking for one. Did you sign anything? I asked. A short statement that you nicked my ear. Do you have a copy? No. Did it say you turned your head? Fred looked at the mirror. I don't remember. I finished the cut without speaking much. My hands stayed steady. After he left, I asked Marcus about the statement. He was eating lunch near the sink. Insurance review, he said. For what? The renovation policy. Why did you ask about my work? They wanted incident history. The insurer already has our claim record. This was more detailed. Show me the form. It was submitted. Show me the copy. I'll find it. Which insurer? He named the company we had used for years. I called our agent from the back room. She had no record of any supplemental incident review. She did confirm that Marcus had requested a quote for a new policy, naming him as primary operator and describing me as retired consultant. The quote had not been bound because the lease and equipment records remained in my name. When I confronted him, he said he was preparing for the transfer. A transfer we never scheduled, I said. You told me it was coming. You told customers I was unsafe to support an insurance application. I documented one incident. You recruited it. Fred had been nicked. A piece of tissue. That is still blood. You wanted a statement that made me look like a risk. I wanted the insurer to accept a clean management change. There was no management change on paper, because you refused to sign one. The shop had emptied for lunch. Kayla and Deshawn stayed near their stations, trying not to listen. Luis had come for the observation, but stood by the rear door with his coat on. When were you going to tell me? I asked. When the quote was approved. After you used my customers to build it. I asked one customer about a real event. How many others? A few. Names. Eddie. Names. He looked toward the front window. Mr. Weaver mentioned you forgot his appointment. I wrote the wrong Tuesday. Mrs. Cole said you took longer than usual with her husband. He cannot hold his head upright. Mr. Bell had the nick. Another client said your hand cramped. My thumb locks in cold rooms. Each thing has an explanation. Because each thing happened in real life. And together, they show a pattern. The pattern is age. Exactly. The word hung there. Marcus's face changed when he heard it himself. I mean normal aging. You gathered ordinary moments until they looked like evidence. I was trying to prevent the insurer from raising rates after the transfer. There was no transfer. There should have been. That does not let you invent one. I did not invent anything. You are 68. You work less. Your hand locks. Your knee swells. You have said you want me to run the shop. Why is every fact acceptable until I put it in the same paragraph? I had no quick answer. That was the dangerous part of Marcus. He could arrange true pieces into a false conclusion and then accuse anyone who objected of denying the pieces. Because the paragraph says I cannot work safely, I said. You know I can. Today. And last Saturday. What about next year? Ask me next year. That is how you handle everything. Luis moved away from the door. I'm leaving, he said. Marcus turned. We are in the middle of something. You are always in the middle of something. Luis placed his written refund request on the counter. I learned enough this week to know I do not want my license tied to this. Your refund will be calculated. By when? Jenna, who had been reviewing receipts at the desk, said. Monday afternoon. Marcus looked at her. We did not agree to a deadline. We need one. Luis nodded to me. Thank you for the training. You are welcome. I'm sorry. For what? For coming into this. You were invited. He left. Marcus watched him go. There goes another barber, because you needed to prove a point. He paid because you used my name. And he received your instruction. He left because he no longer trusted the shop. You made sure of that. Jenna closed the receipt folder. Stop blaming people for reacting to information. Marcus looked at her. You too? Yes. Then perhaps you should both run it. I do not want to run a barber shop, she said. I want to know why our savings are disappearing. He went still. This is not the place. We have had every private conversation you allowed. Jenna. You said the renovation loan was $45,000. It was. The credit union balance shows 68. My attention shifted from Marcus to her. How did it increase? I asked. Do not involve him, Marcus said. The shop pays part of it, Jenna replied. He is already involved. She opened the laptop and turned it toward us. There is a second equipment line, $23,000, opened in February. For chairs, mirrors, and the booking system, Marcus said. You told me the chairs were included in the main renovation loan. Some costs changed. Whose name is on the equipment line? I asked. Jenna looked at Marcus. His. Then why does the shop pay it? Because the equipment is here. Marcus stepped between me and the screen. This is none of your concern unless you intend to transfer the business. The payments come from an account I fund. You fund half. What secures the loan? He did not answer. Jenna did. The lender approved it based on a business plan showing continued Lawson branding and founder involvement during an 18-month transition. I looked at her. Founder involvement doing what? Training, quality review, client retention, and consulting. I never signed that. There was no signature page from you. Then how was it approved? Marcus submitted the operating plan, historical revenue, the current lease, and photographs showing you both in the shop. The lender treated it as a company forecast. Marcus said, which is normal. Did you tell them I agreed? I told them you were transitioning the shop to me. That is not what I asked. The plan described your role. Show me. Jenna opened a file. The first page displayed the new logo. Beneath it, in smaller type, were the words, a controlled legacy transition. The plan projected that 80% of my existing customers would transfer to Marcus and the new barbers. It listed 6 paid training cohorts over 18 months. It assumed I would teach 2 evenings a week, review selected services on Saturdays, provide professional references, maintain the historical client notes, and appear in quarterly promotional events. My compensation line read, Founder participation, family succession, contribution, no direct salary. The public relations section recommended a clear retirement narrative to prevent customer resistance to younger providers. The risk section named my continued visible authority as a threat to management stability. I read that line twice. Threat, I said. Marcus looked at the screen, but not at me. That is business language. My presence is a threat, but my labor is a contribution. The plan separates authority from legacy value. Say that like a person. Customers trust you. Staff need to trust me. So I work after closing while you tell customers I cannot work. Not forever. 18 months. That was the lender model. 6 paid groups. Projected. Using my name. The shop name. My client notes. Business records. My Saturday reviews. Transition support. For no pay. You have ownership. Ownership you call a threat whenever I use it. Nobody spoke. The room felt smaller than the office had. I had believed Marcus wanted me gone because he could not feel like the shop was his while my chair remained near the window. That was only half of it. He did not want me gone. He wanted me removed from the places where customers could choose me, while keeping me in the back room where my knowledge, name, tools, and relationships could make his promises work. My retirement was not the end of my usefulness in his plan. It was the condition that made my usefulness belong to him. You never planned for me to step away, I said. Marcus's voice softened. I planned for you to stop carrying the burden. You planned 6 cohorts. The numbers had to show growth. You planned 18 months of my evenings. You would have done it for the shop. You mean for you? What is wrong with that? The question was not angry. That made it worse. He looked honestly confused that the years I had spent raising him, teaching him, and promising the shop might not automatically include becoming invisible labor inside the future he wanted. I closed the laptop. I thought this week was about correcting 3 bad agreements, I said. It is. No. Those agreements are the first pieces of a business built around keeping my name and removing my authority. Marcus shook his head. You are exaggerating. The plan uses both ideas on the same page. Because lenders need clean roles. You gave me one without asking. I gave you the role you have been moving toward for years. Then why hide it? Because I knew you would hear one word you disliked and stop everything. I looked at the red chair near the window, the gold letters on the mirrors, and the cabinet key in my pocket. Until that afternoon, I had been trying to recover my place inside Lawson's. I wanted my chair back, my work corrected in public, and an honest agreement that let Marcus lead without pretending I had become unsafe. The plan on Jenna's screen made that goal useless. As long as my name, customer records, methods, tools, and unpaid time remained inside the shop, Marcus could keep changing my role whenever he needed another sale, loan, barber, or explanation. I am finishing the 6 weeks for Deshawn and Kayla, I said. I will help calculate Luis's refund. After that, there will be no second group. Marcus folded his arms. We already agreed no new group without approval. There will be no approval. You cannot decide that today. I just did. The loan assumes growth. Then build growth with your own work. The Lawson name is the growth. That is the problem. He stared at me. What are you saying? I looked at the mirrors bearing his name beneath mine, then at the old sign outside that still turned every promise he made into something I seemed to endorse. I am saying I need to find out exactly which parts of Lawson still belong to me, and this time I am not asking so I can put them back where you want them. The screen stayed dark after I closed it. Marcus stood on the other side of the counter with his arms folded, waiting for me to turn my last sentence into a threat he could reject. I put the laptop back in front of Jenna. I'll be here Monday and Wednesday for the current group, I said. Saturday mornings through the 6th week. Nothing beyond that. You already said that, Marcus replied. Now I'm telling you what happens around it. No new program applications. No new fee bearing my name. No use of my photograph, client notes, tools, or signature, without written permission. We signed an agreement. For 3 barbers, 2 now, thanks to you. Luis left because you lied to him. Luis left because you encouraged him to distrust the shop. Jenna lifted one hand. Stop, we still need to calculate his refund. Marcus looked at her. There is no full refund. He received 6 hours of training, she said. He did not receive the employment arrangement, 30 hours with Eddie, or the chair terms he was sold. Then deduct the value of 6 hours. Whose rate? The program rate. There is no honest program rate, I said. There is whatever number you typed before asking who would do the work. Marcus pushed away from the counter. You want him to leave with almost everything after receiving more instruction than he paid for anywhere else. He paid $2,400 for access to a shop, branding, and a pathway. He did not receive a pathway because he walked out. Jenna turned the laptop so we could all see the figures. After fees and the portion reasonably assigned to supplies he actually kept, I calculate $2,090 due back. Marcus laughed. From where? The main operating account, she said. Absolutely not. The training money was moved into renovation expenses, which benefited the shop. The shop cannot absorb every person Eddie frightens away. I looked at the account balance on the screen. There was enough to return Luis's money and still cover rent, utilities, and the next payroll. It would make the month tighter. It would also reduce the amount Marcus had planned to pay himself for managing the reopening. Issue the refund, I said. He stared at me. You do not get to authorize that. The operating account is mine. It is the business account, registered under my tax number. Because you never completed the transfer. Correct. You cannot use that delay whenever you want power. I am using it to return money collected through my name. You are punishing me. I am preventing Luis from paying for something he did not receive. Same result. Not to Luis. Jenna looked at me. I need both account holders for transfers over 2,000. I am the account holder. Marcus has authorized. User access. Then use mine. She nodded. Marcus closed the laptop with his palm. No. I moved his hand and reopened it. You spent the money before the first class. On the business you claim to care about. Then the business can repay it. And when the electric bill is short? We delay the new mirror lights. They're already installed. Then you delay your management draw. His face went still. You would take my income. You took Luis's payment. I worked 6 months on this renovation. Then invoice your actual work, instead of charging strangers for mine. You have no idea what I have done here. That is partly because you hid the account. Jenna slid the laptop toward herself. I am processing the refund tomorrow morning, unless one of you gives me a lawful reason not to. Marcus looked at her. You live in my house, our house. Our money financed this, which is why I'm returning money that could become a formal complaint. He picked up his jacket from the back of a chair. Do whatever Eddie says, that appears to be the structure. He walked out through the rear door. Jenna waited until it closed. He will move the remaining money tonight if he still has access. Can you freeze the training account? I asked. I can transfer the balance back to the main account. $38. Do it. He will say we are treating him like a thief. We are treating the account like it should have records. She opened the laptop again. You know he will not accept the 6-week limit. He signed it. He accepts signatures when they help him reach the next day. That is not acceptance. No. She began the refund request, then looked up. What are you actually planning? I don't know yet. You said you were finding out what belongs to you. That is not a plan. It is a list. Lists become plans with you. Eventually. Do not take too long. She turned the screen back toward herself. The lender expects another training group to open enrollment next month. There will not be one. Then the projected revenue disappears. It was never real. The debt is. I left the shop through the back door and found Marcus sitting in his car with both hands on the steering wheel. The engine was not running. He watched me cross the alley but did not lower the window. I could have knocked. I did not. That evening I took a yellow legal pad from the kitchen drawer and wrote 4 headings. Name, tools, customers, building. Under name, I wrote Lawson's Barbershop, my photograph, my signature, Eddie Lawson training, and founder review. Under tools, I listed the red chair, 2 corded clippers, shears, razors, cabinets, shampoo sink, towel warmer, original mirrors now in storage, and everything I had purchased before the renovation. Under customers, I wrote the main phone number, appointment history, paper client cards, email list, and the names of people who had never agreed to become part of anyone's transition. Under building, I wrote lease, insurance, utilities, alarm, front gate, and the landlord's name. Then I stared at the page because the longest list belonged under something I had not written. Marcus. His first broom. His first pair of clippers. The Saturday he stayed until midnight, helping me replace a leaking sink. The winter he drove Lorraine to chemotherapy while I opened the shop, because she told us one of us should keep a normal day. The photograph of the 2 of us beneath the old striped awning. Him 21 and trying not to smile. None of those things fit neatly under ownership. They were the reason I had left every agreement vague. A written date might have made the shop clearer, but it would also have forced me to decide whether handing over the business meant trusting him as a barber, accepting him as my son, or admitting that I was ready to become less necessary. I had let all 3 questions hide behind the same promise. On Monday morning, I met with my accountant, Susan Hale, in the same small office above a dentist where she had prepared my taxes for 17 years. She wore purple reading glasses and had no patience for dramatic summaries. I brought the lease, bank statements, equipment invoices, the training agreement, and the operating plan Jenna had printed. Susan read for nearly 40 minutes, while I watched a clock shaped like a cat move its eyes from side to side. The simple version, she said at last, is that you still own the operating business. Marcus runs it. He manages it with your permission. There is no sale, membership transfer, partnership agreement, or assignment of the lease. Can he borrow against it? He borrowed personally using projected business revenue and equipment he purchased. He did not pledge your chair, your tools, or the lease. Can he use the Lawson name? You have allowed it. Can I stop allowing it? She removed her glasses. Yes, but stopping is different from pretending permission never existed. Give a clear date and written notice. Customers, vendors, and employees need to know who is responsible after that date. How much notice? That is partly a business question, not a tax question. I dislike those. You dislike questions that do not come with exact measurements. How long would you give? Enough for current obligations to be completed, and not enough for another obligation to be created. 6 weeks. That sounds connected to the trainees. It is. She tapped the operating plan. The largest practical problem is the merchant account and client database. They are under your information. If Marcus continues after you withdraw, he needs his own systems. Can I close mine? You can. Give customers reasonable notice and preserve records you are required to keep. What about the phone number? Whose account? Mine. Then it is yours. He says the number belongs to the shop. It belongs to the account holder until transferred. She looked at me over the top of the glasses. Are you planning to close the shop? I am planning to stop letting him use my name as if it means I agreed. That may close the shop he planned. It does not prevent him from opening under his own name. No. Then I am not taking his profession. You are taking away a structure he believed he would inherit. He believed it early. Perhaps. You also let him believe it. I shifted in the chair. He sold my evenings. That was wrong. He told people I was unsafe. Also wrong. Why do I keep hearing the part I did wrong? Because that is the part you can choose differently. I did not thank her for that. She prepared a one-page notice for the bookkeeper and payment vendors stating that no new training fees, loans, contracts, or public use of my name could be authorized without my written approval. It did not end anything. It stopped the promises from multiplying while I finished the current 6 weeks. I signed it at the bottom. Susan made 3 copies. Give one to Marcus, she said. Do not hide it in a drawer, and then complain that he should have known. I was not planning to. You are both related to ambiguity. I delivered the notice that afternoon. Marcus read it at the first station while Deshaun cleaned his clippers nearby. Kayla was in the back mixing disinfectant. You went to an accountant? Marcus said. Yes. Without me. The accounts are mine. You keep saying that. It remains true. He read the page again. No new contracts, no new fees, no public use of your name without written permission. You might as well put a chain on the door. The shop can take ordinary appointments. I cannot advertise the shop's own name? You can advertise Lawson's as the existing shop through the end of the 6 weeks. You cannot advertise me as an instructor, reviewer, retired founder, returning founder, unsafe founder, or smiling founder without asking. What happens after 6 weeks? We decide whether you buy assets, operate under a different name, or enter a written management agreement. Buy assets that were promised to me. Nothing was transferred. Lorraine believed the shop would be mine. Lorraine believed we would work together. She is not here to correct you. The words were quiet. Deshaun moved toward the sink and gave us distance. Do not do that, I said. You brought her into it first. I answered a question badly. You always get to decide when memory is evidence and when it is unfair. He folded the notice once. What price? For what? The shop. I have not set one. Then this is another delay. I need an inventory. You have owned it for 35 years. You know what is there. Not after the renovation. The new chairs are mine. The mirrors are mine. The booking site is mine. The equipment loan is mine. The brand work is mine. The Lawson name is not. It is the shop. It is also my name. And my mother's married name, not yours. His face changed. I heard how it sounded as soon as I said it. He had lived under my roof from 9 to 19. He had worked under the Lawson sign most of his adult life. I had never given him the surname, never been asked to, and had sometimes told myself his keeping. Vale proved I respected his father's place, even though that man rarely appeared. Now I had used the difference like a lock. Marcus, I said. No, that was clear. I meant the business registration. You meant exactly what you said. He placed the folded notice on the counter. Your name, your account, your customers, your building, your chair. What part of this was ever supposed to be mine? Your work. I could have taken my work anywhere. You chose here. Because you told me it was home. It was. Until I moved the furniture. He walked into the office and shut the door. I stood near the second station, with the notice still visible on the counter. Deshaun turned off the faucet. That one hurt him, he said. I know. Did you mean it? The legal part. That is not what he heard. I know that too. Are we still training tonight? Yes. You two are remarkable. That is not a compliment. It was not meant as one. That evening, Kayla completed her first full haircut without asking me to rescue the blend. Deshaun handled a difficult beard line and stopped twice to check what the customer wanted, rather than assuming symmetry mattered more than preference. Luis did not return. His refund reached his credit card and mailbox by the end of the week. Marcus deducted the amount from the operating account and left his management draw untouched. I changed that. Jenna showed me the monthly distribution sheet, and I reduced Marcus's draw by half for 2 months, the amount needed to restore the refund and cover the training promises he had made. He called at 10 that night. Put it back. No, you cannot change my compensation after I performed the work. Your compensation was never written. Because you refused to write a management agreement, then you should understand the danger of relying on assumptions. You are enjoying this, I am not. You always become calm when you have the account open. The shop owes Luis. The main account paid him. Your separate training fee created the shortage. The renovation used the money. The renovation also supports your new chairs and mirrors, which improve your property. Then call them rent. You want me to pay for everything twice. I want the cost to remain with the decision that caused it. He breathed into the phone for several seconds. Jenna told you about the debt because she wants me to fail. Jenna told me because the shop was paying it. She is angry about our house. That is between you and her. Nothing is between two people. Once you decide it belongs on a list. The account belonged on the list. Did she tell you she plans to separate our finances? I had not known that. No, of course she didn't. She lets you discover things at the useful moment. Ask her why. I am asking whether you encouraged it. I did not. Would you tell me if you had? Yes. You opened her letter once and read the whole thing. I did not know what letter he meant, until I remembered he was mixing me with someone else's family wound, or perhaps simply reaching for the worst thing he could imagine. There was no letter, I said. What? You are arguing with a version of me that makes your answer easier. He went quiet. Put the draw back, he said. No, then I cannot make the loan payment. Use the training income you projected from your own instruction. He ended the call. The next morning, Jenna arrived at my house before 8, carrying 2 coffees and a folder. I'm separating our household accounts, she said from the porch. Marcus told me. He believes you caused it. I did not. I know. She handed me 1 coffee and followed me into the kitchen. I am not leaving him. I am moving my paycheck and personal savings into an account he cannot use for the shop. That seems reasonable. He does not think so. He thinks access means trust. He learned it somewhere. I ignored that. She opened the folder. I am also stepping away from bookkeeping after the 6 weeks. Who will do it? You or someone you hire? Marcus needs access to his own numbers. Then Marcus can hire someone for his business once he decides what that is. You are closing an option. I am closing my evenings at the shop. She looked around the kitchen. I have spent 2 years correcting expenses after he made them, and 6 months hiding how frightened I was, because every question sounded like doubt. Why tell me now? Because your decision about the shop affects my marriage, whether either of us likes that or not. I am not deciding your marriage. I know, I am deciding my part. She took a document from the folder. It listed all current obligations through the end of the 6-week training period: rent, utilities, payroll, loan payments, refund restoration, supply orders, and the remaining balance for the renovation contractor. The shop can survive through the final Saturday, she said. After that, if the Lawson account's close, Marcus needs new merchant processing, insurance, phone service, booking software, supplier credit, and probably a new name. How long to establish those? A few weeks if he starts now. Has he? He registered a web address. What name? She hesitated. Lawson and Vale. No, I thought you would say that. He is not using Lawson after the deadline. There is no deadline yet, the last Saturday of the training. Have you told him? Not the date. Then you do not have a deadline. You have a thought. She pushed the obligations list toward me. Tell him in writing. Give him the remaining 4 weeks. If he chooses not to prepare, that will be his choice. You sound like Susan. I sound like someone who has watched both of you turn silence into permission. I drafted the notice that afternoon. It took 6 versions because every sentence either sounded cruel or weak. The final page was plain. Lawson's Barbershop would stop operating under my name at 6 o'clock on Saturday, July 27, after the current training commitments and scheduled customer appointments were completed. The merchant account, main booking account, customer email list, shop telephone number, paper client records, original equipment, and my personal tools would no longer be available for Marcus's independent use after that time. Marcus could submit a written offer to purchase selected equipment and request transfer of the phone number and booking records with customer notice. He could not use Lawson, Eddie Lawson, founder-trained, Lawson method, or similar wording in a new business without written agreement. The 3 new chairs, new mirrors, new decor, marketing files, and equipment purchased through his personal loan remained his. The notice did not end his ability to cut hair. It ended his ability to make my past the unpaid foundation of his future. I took it to the shop before Wednesday's class. Marcus was alone in the office. He read the first paragraph, sat down, and read it again. July 27th, he said. 4 weeks. Enough time to establish your own accounts. You are closing Lawson's. I am retiring the business name. You said you were not retired. I am not retiring from barbering. You are destroying the shop to win a wording argument. This is not about wording anymore. You waited until I borrowed money. You borrowed against a plan I never approved. You knew I was renovating. I did not know I was 6 unpaid training groups. Those projections can change. They have. He stood so quickly the chair struck the file cabinet. You cannot remove the client list. Customers are people, not property. I can close the database account in my name and notify them they may choose where to book. They belong to the shop. They choose. You taught me that when it protected you. Now you are using it to take them. You may contact customers who gave permission to receive information from your new business after the change. Every customer gave permission to Lawson's. Not Lawson and Vale. That name honors both of us. It keeps mine, because mine means nothing without yours. Is that what you want me to say? His voice cracked on the final word. I sat in the chair opposite him. Your name means your work. That is not what customers buy. Then give them a reason. You had 35 years. Yes. You are taking the only thing you were supposed to pass down. I was supposed to pass down a shop. You built a plan where I disappeared in public and worked in private. I can correct the plan. How? Keep the name. Let me run the front. You work 1 Saturday a month and teach 2 groups a year. Paid this time. No. 1 group. No. Then no training. Keep your tools. Keep the chair in the window. I will stop using your photograph. What about the customers? They remain with Lawson's. Who owns Lawson's? He looked at me. We do. There is no we on paper. Then put it there. With what terms? Half. Half of what? Everything. Including your debt? Including the future. That is not a number. You always do this. I finally offer the thing you claimed you wanted, and you ask for columns. Because your offer includes $68,000 and no explanation of control. We can write one, before July 27th. Withdraw the notice while we negotiate. No. He laughed softly. You want the deadline around my throat. I want promises to stop while we talk. Same thing. He took the notice and tore it in half. The sound was smaller than I expected. He dropped the pieces into the wastebasket. I do not accept it. I had brought a second copy. I placed it on the desk. You do not have to accept notice for it to be received. That sounds like Susan. It is still true. Get out of my office. The office is part of my lease. Get out anyway. I left because staying would only turn the room into another place, where we said the same thing with sharper edges. Deshawn and Kayla arrived while I was setting up the evening lesson. Marcus remained behind the closed office door. We worked on speed without rushing. I gave each barber a 40-minute appointment and asked them to mark the moments where time disappeared. Kayla spent 7 minutes explaining styling products because she feared appearing uninformed. Deshawn lost time changing guards that could have been arranged before the client sat. Preparation is not pressure, I told them. It is kindness to the person waiting. Marcus opened the office door. That should be on the website, he said. It will not be. He came out holding my notice. He had taped the torn first copy back together. I'm posting this in the break room. Why? Staff deserve to know you are closing the shop. It says the name and accounts are ending. Your business can continue. Read that distinction to someone with rent due. Deshawn looked at the notice. What happens to our jobs? He asked. You finish 6 weeks, I said. After that, Marcus may offer work through his own business. You decide whether to accept. Will the location stay open? Kayla asked. Marcus answered. If Eddie does not interfere with the lease ends in 11 months, I said. I am not removing you before then if you establish insurance, payment accounts, and responsibility for rent. Marcus turned toward me. That is the first time you have said that. You never asked whether you could remain. You asked whether you could keep Lawson's. The name is the business. Then build another. Deshawn, read the date. Our final evaluation is July 27th. Yes. And the shop changes that night. The Lawson accounts close after the day's appointments are settled. Kayla sat in the nearest chair. My clients are booked through August. They will receive a notice with options, I said. They can continue with you under Marcus's new account if they choose. Will they have to rebook? Probably. That may lose people. Yes, Marcus pointed at her. There, that is what he is doing. I looked at Kayla. I am sorry the change affects you. Sorry does not pay chair rent, Marcus said. Kayla raised a hand. Let me answer. She looked at me. I understand why you are removing your name. I also need to know whether I should start looking elsewhere. You should always know your options, I said. That is not comforting either. I am not good at that. Deshawn asked Marcus. What will the new shop be called? Marcus folded the notice. Lawson and Vale. No, I said. Then Vale. The word seemed to surprise him. He looked toward the mirrors bearing his name. Vale Barber Studio, Jenna suggested from the doorway. None of us had heard her enter. Marcus turned. You already made a name? I checked what was available. With him? By myself. You are all preparing for my life without asking me. Jenna looked at the taped notice in his hand. Eddie gave you 4 weeks. To erase 20 years. To stop borrowing another person's identity. You are my wife. Yes. Then stand with me. I am standing here. Not the same thing. She put her bag beside the counter. I will help transfer payroll and vendor information. I will not help you keep a name after permission ends. He looked at her for a long time. Then he walked to the front gate, raised it, and left. We finished the session without him. Over the next 3 weeks, Marcus fought the date without openly refusing it. He sent me proposed agreements that preserved the Lawson name for 10 years, then 5, then 3. Each gave him full management authority, while requiring me to remain available for legacy consultation. He offered me 5% of training revenue, then 10. He offered to repair the red chair professionally. He offered to place my photograph in the lobby with a brass plaque reading Founder and Father. That phrase stopped me. Father? I asked when he brought the proposal to my house. He stood on the porch holding a leather folder and would not come inside. That is what you wanted, isn't it? Not on a plaque. You wanted me to say it. I wanted it to be true without payment terms beneath it. It is true. Then why have you never said it? Because you never asked without making it sound like a test. I did not know how. Neither did I. For a moment, the folder lowered. I nearly invited him in. Then he said, "Keep the name active for 3 years. I will remove the consulting requirement after the first year." The opening closed again. "No, then what do you want from me?" Billed Vale honestly. "I built Lawson's with you." "Yes. You cannot separate those years with a deadline." "I am not separating the years. I am separating the accounts." Same practical answer. "Yes." He looked toward Lorraine's old rosebush beside the porch. It had not flowered well since she died, though I had never replaced it. If Mom were here, she would hate this. She would hate what both of us did. You always make the blame equal after you choose the punishment. It is not equal. At least you admit that. He placed the folder on the porch rail. Final offer. Keep Lawson's as the building name. I operate Vale Barber Studio inside it. You retain the phone and records. I pay a licensing fee. No paid use of the name. Why? Because every fee gives you a reason to push past the limit again. You do not trust me. Not with this. His face tightened. Then stop calling me your son when it helps you feel injured. He left the folder and walked to his car. I did not follow. The next day, I visited Steel City Skills, a nonprofit apprenticeship center 8 blocks from the shop. It occupied the ground floor of an old community hall and taught basic trades to young adults who had struggled to find steady work. Their barber room held 2 mismatched chairs, a cracked mirror, and a sink that drained slowly. The coordinator, Naomi Brooks, had cut hair for 26 years before arthritis forced her to stop full-time work. I knew her by reputation and from 2 neighborhood events, though we had never been close. "I heard Lawson's reopened," she said. "It did, and may close. The name will." "That is not the same as the room." "I am learning that." I showed her photographs of my red chair, cabinet, original mirrors, towel warmer, and extra clippers. "Would you use these?" She looked at the photographs carefully. "Use? Borrow? Or receive?" "I have not decided." "Then decide before you offer." "Everyone has become Susan." "I don't know Susan. You would like her." Naomi handed the phone back. "We could use the chair and mirrors. We do not need your customer database or your family argument." "Good. Would you teach?" "1 day a week after July." "Paid?" "No." "Then no." "What?" "Our instructors are paid. Young people should not learn that experience becomes free when it belongs to someone older." I stared at her. "That is inconveniently relevant. We can afford 1 day a week. I do not need the money. Donate it back if that makes you happy. The work gets a value first." I sat in one of the mismatched chairs. It leaned slightly to the left. "The red chair needs a repaired armrest." "We can repair it here." "I already did." "Then they can learn why your repair will fail in winter." "It will not." "Bring it and prove me wrong." I agreed to begin teaching the first Tuesday after the Lawson accounts closed. I did not transfer the chair yet. I signed a simple commitment for 8 Tuesdays and reserved a space for my tools. Naomi asked whether I wanted my name on the program. "No," I said. "Good. We already have one." "What is it called?" "Steel City Barber Apprenticeship." "Clear. We are not curated." I told Marcus 2 days later. He listened from the first station while wiping hair from a cape. "You are giving my equipment away," he said. "My original equipment. The chair belongs in Lawson's. Lawson's ends July 27th. Then it belongs in Vale." No. You would rather give it to strangers. I would rather use it where no one has to erase me before I enter. He threw the cape into the laundry bin. So this is the replacement shop. It is an apprenticeship room, with my training program. Your program sold my name. This one hired my time. You are being paid? Yes. After refusing payment here. Because they asked before advertising it. He rubbed his nose. You found another family. Do not make work into family when it serves you. You did that for 30 years. Yes, that was part of the confusion. He stared at me, then laughed once. At least you finally admit it. The final week arrived. Deshawn and Kayla had both improved enough to work independently, though neither had decided whether to remain with Marcus. Deshawn received an offer from Murray's and another from a shop in East Liberty. Kayla could rent a station from her cousin's salon. Marcus offered both lower chair fees if they signed before July 27th. They refused to sign until they saw the new accounts and name. Jenna prepared customer notices but did not send them. The notice offered 3 choices. Continue with the same barber under Vale Barber Studio. If the barber remained, request Eddie's limited Tuesday appointments at Steel City Skills, beginning in August, or receive a copy of future appointment details and choose another provider. I would not take customer notes to the nonprofit without individual permission. Marcus said the options advertised my new workplace using the customer list he claimed belonged to him. I said the list belonged to the existing Lawson account, and customers deserved truthful choices before it closed. We argued for an hour and changed 4 words. On Wednesday evening, after the final teaching session, Marcus announced that Saturday would include a Legacy Day celebration. He had invited regular customers, the business association, the equipment lender, local merchants, Lorraine's sister Paula, and several people from the old neighborhood. Why Paula? I asked. She is family. She lives 3 hours away. She wants to support the transition. Which transition? The one happening whether you cooperate or not. The accounts close at 6. After the celebration. The final evaluations happen at 10. Then we celebrate at noon. What exactly are you celebrating? Deshawn and Kayla completing the program. The new shop identity. Your years here. Which new identity? Come Saturday and find out. No use of Lawson. I know what the notice says. Jenna looked up from the desk. Marcus. Everything will be accurate. That is not an answer, I said. It is the answer you always give me. Will you ask for money? No. Will you ask me to sign anything? He paused. There will be documents. What documents? Completion certificates. A new operating proposal. Customer transfer forms. I am not signing a proposal in front of a crowd. Then read it before Saturday. He handed me a sealed envelope. Inside was an agreement granting Vale Barber Studio the right to operate from the current location and use the phrase, home of the Lawson tradition for 5 years. It transferred the main phone number, online reviews, customer email list, and historical appointment database to Marcus for $1. In return, I would receive 1 chair for personal use on Saturdays and a brass plaque recognizing my contribution. $1, I said. The value is continuity. For you. For customers. No. Then propose a number. The name is not for sale. Everything is for sale if the number is fair. That sentence explains more than you think. I returned the agreement. Do not put this in front of anyone Saturday. You are afraid people will think it is reasonable. I am telling you no privately, so you do not pretend public silence is consent. You always assume the worst version of me now. You built a loan plan around the worst version of me. He tucked the envelope under his arm. Saturday. Noon. The accounts close at 6. You keep saying that like a clock can settle 35 years. It can settle when a password stops working. His face hardened. There you are. He walked into the office. On Friday night, I loaded empty plastic bins into my truck for the tools and records that would leave after Saturday's last appointment. I placed the red chair's brass footrest wrench in the glove compartment and checked it twice. Naomi had arranged for 2 apprentices to collect the chair and original mirrors at 6:15, but I told her they were not to enter until I called. I changed the merchant account closure from automatic to manual because I wanted every final service and refund settled before I pressed anything. The booking database was scheduled to send the customer notice at 5:30. The old phone number would play a recorded message beginning at 6 and remain active for 30 days without accepting new appointments. None of those steps required a crowd, a speech, or anyone to agree with me. They required my passwords, my signature, and the willingness to let Lawson stop being the place where Marcus and I avoided deciding what we were to each other. Saturday morning, I arrived at 8:15. The front gate was already open. White folding chairs lined the sidewalk. A long table inside held pastries, coffee urns, and 2 sheet cakes. One cake said, "Congratulations Deshawn and Kayla." The other said, "Lawson's legacy continues." My red chair stood in the center of the shop beneath the old striped pole. Marcus had repaired the armrest professionally and polished the chrome until the scrape along the base was barely visible. A dark cloth covered something on the seat. Gold paper banners hung across the mirrors, hiding the Marcus Vale lettering. Paula was arranging flowers near the window. Jenna stood behind the counter with her lips pressed together. "What is under the cloth?" I asked. Marcus came from the office wearing a navy suit. "You are early." "What is under it?" "Something for noon. Move the chair to station 2. Deshawn needs it for the final evaluation. Use a black chair. The chair is mine. And today it is part of the presentation. Move it." He stepped closer. "You agreed to finish the program. Let me finish one thing." "What thing?" "Giving this shop a future." "Whose future?" "Ours. If you stop treating every offer like theft." Customers began gathering outside. Mr. Russo appeared in his tan windbreaker. Fred Bell followed him. Deshawn and Kayla entered through the back, both dressed in black Barber jackets. Kayla saw the cake and smiled despite herself. Deshawn looked at the covered chair. "What's happening at noon?" he asked. Marcus answered. "You graduate. And after? We announce the shop." "Which shop?" Marcus looked at me before replying. "The one that should have existed all along." He lifted the dark cloth from the chair. On the seat lay a polished brass sign shaped like the old storefront plaque. The engraving read Lawson and Vale Barber Company, founded by Eddie Lawson, carried forward by his son Marcus Vale. Beneath it rested the 5-year licensing agreement and a fountain pen that had belonged to Lorraine. I knew the pen immediately. She had kept it in her desk and used it to sign every birthday card, school form, and household check, until her fingers became too weak. "Where did you get that?" I asked. Marcus touched the pen lightly. "From Mom's things." "Those were in your house?" Jenna said quietly. "He found the desk box in the basement." "You brought her pen here. Because she should be part of this. She is not a prop." "Neither are you." The room behind us filled with the sound of chairs being unfolded and customers greeting one another on the sidewalk. Paula came closer and looked at the sign. "It's beautiful," she said. Marcus kept his eyes on me. "At noon, we put this over the front mirror. You sign the license. I take responsibility for the new accounts and debt. You keep your Saturday chair and teach only when you choose. The name stays. Nobody loses what we built." I looked at the words his son engraved into brass, the pen Lorraine had used, and the agreement I had already refused. "Move the chair to station 2, I said. "We have evaluations at 10. His jaw tightened. "Answer me first." I answered Wednesday. "Not with everyone who matters in the room. They do not decide. Maybe they should hear what you are destroying." Deshawn set down his case. Kayla stopped beside the first station. Jenna looked toward the open doorway, where more customers were arriving. I picked up Lorraine's pen and placed it back on the chair. "The evaluations happen first," I said. "At noon you may ask me again in whatever words you choose. Do not mistake the crowd for permission." Marcus took the chair by its repaired armrest and rolled it toward station 2. The old hydraulic base squeaked once across the new floor. "Fine," he said. "At noon, nobody leaves until you give them an answer." At 10 o'clock, Deshawn fastened a cape around Mr. Russo, while Kayla prepared Fred Bell at the next station. Marcus had chosen those two customers because they had known the shop longer than either barber had been alive. I would have chosen strangers. Regular customers carry habits that can make a decent barber look careless and an excellent one look ordinary. Mr. Russo wanted the hair above his right ear shorter than the left because an old scar made that side puff out. Fred disliked the back of his neck squared even though he asked for it every third visit. Neither detail appeared on the appointment cards Marcus had printed. I stood between the stations with my hands behind my back. "Begin," I said. Deshawn asked Mr. Russo what he wanted. "Same as always. I haven't cut you before. Eddie has." Deshawn looked toward me. I did not answer. "Then help me understand what same means," he said. Mr. Russo smiled. "Good start." At the next chair, Kayla asked Fred whether he still preferred the back natural. Fred looked at me in the mirror. "Did you tell her?" "You did last Wednesday." "I don't remember." "She does." Kayla's shoulders relaxed. Marcus moved near the front door, greeting customers as they entered for the noon gathering. He had placed the brass sign on an easel beneath a dark cloth. Lorraine's pen and the 5-year agreement rested on a small table beside it. Paula arranged paper cups. Jenna stood behind the counter, checking final payments and trying not to look at the agreement. By 10:15, every folding chair on the sidewalk was occupied. People leaned against the front window and watched the evaluations through the glass. "Close the gate halfway," I told Marcus. "Why?" "They're distracting the customers. This is supposed to be visible. The haircuts are not entertainment. The whole point is showing what they learned." Mr. Russo turned his head toward the window. Deshawn stopped the clipper before it touched him. "Gate," I said. Marcus lowered it halfway. The room became quieter. Deshawn worked slowly around the scar, checking the shape from 2 angles before taking more. Kayla kept Fred's neckline soft and spent too long blending near the crown because she did not trust the first result. I let her make 1 extra pass, then touched her wrist. "Step away." She did. "What do you see?" "A shadow." "From hair or from the light?" She moved 2 feet to the side. "The light." "Then stop cutting the lamp." Fred laughed. Kayla smiled, set down the clipper, and brushed his neck. At 10:45, both barbers finished. I walked around each chair without speaking. Mr. Russo studied himself in the mirror. "Right ear looks right," he said. Deshawn exhaled. Fred reached behind his neck. "Not boxed." "You never like it boxed," Kayla said. "I keep hoping I'll change." "Not today." I asked Deshawn what he would correct if the customer returned in a week. He said he would leave slightly more weight above the scar because the shorter side might stand up as it grew. I asked Kayla where she had lost time. She said she had cut the same area 3 times because she trusted her eyes less than the customer's head. Both answers were good. I signed their completion certificates with an ordinary black pen from the counter. Marcus glanced toward Lorraine's fountain pen. I did not. "You passed," I told them. "That does not mean you are finished learning. It means you know enough to recognize when you need help." Deshawn shook my hand. Kayla hugged me before I could decide what to do with my arms. I patted her shoulder once. Marcus raised the gate and announced that the evaluations were complete. The people outside applauded. The sound filled the shop and bounced off the new mirrors. Deshawn and Kayla stood beside their chairs holding the certificates. For a few minutes, the gathering belonged to them. Mr. Russo told Deshawn the scar had not looked that balanced in years. Fred asked Kayla whether she worked Thursdays. Paula cut the first cake. Jenna photographed the 2 barbers after asking whether they wanted pictures taken. Both said yes. Marcus waited until everyone had coffee before stepping beside the covered easel. "Thank you for being here," he began. "This shop has served the neighborhood for 35 years because one man believed a barber should remember more than how a customer wore his hair." He looked at me. Eddie remembered graduations, jobs, divorces, children, and the names of dogs that had been dead 20 years. Mr. Russo called. "He remembers the dogs better." People laughed. Marcus smiled. "He also taught me that a shop survives only if the next person is prepared to carry it." Today, We have 2 new barbers who completed the first Lawson Master Chair Program, and we have a future that keeps everything this place has meant while giving it room to grow. I stood near my red chair. The repaired armrest felt smooth beneath my palm. Marcus removed the cloth from the brass sign. Several people leaned forward to read it. Lawson and Vale, Barber Company founded by Eddie Lawson, carried forward by his son, Marcus Vale. Paula pressed one hand to her chest. Someone near the door said, "That's beautiful." Marcus lifted Lorraine's pen. "My mother used this for almost every important paper in our house. Eddie kept the shop alive while she raised me, and then he helped raise me too, whether either of us knew how to say that." His voice shook. I believed the feeling in it. That did not make the agreement honest. "Today," he continued, "I'm asking him to keep our family name over the door while allowing me to take responsibility for what comes next." He placed the pen beside the agreement. "Eddie, come up here." I remained beside the chair. "You can ask from there." A few people shifted. Marcus's smile tightened. "All right. Will you sign the operating license so Lawson and Vale can continue in this location?" "No." The room became so quiet, I heard the refrigerator click on in the back. Marcus glanced at the crowd, then at me. "You haven't read the final version. It is the same agreement I refused Wednesday." I removed the required consulting hours. "It still uses Lawson for 5 years. Because this is Lawson's. Until 6 tonight." Mr. Russo lowered his coffee cup. Paula stepped toward me. "Eddie, perhaps you should discuss this privately." We did. Marcus lifted the agreement. I offered him ownership of the name, the customer records, the phone number, and a Saturday chair. I take the debt and daily operation. He keeps a place here whenever he wants it. You offered me permission to use my chair in a business licensed under my own name. You would still own the name. A name is not useful ownership if you control everything it sells. Then choose different terms. The terms are already settled. I looked at Deshawn and Kayla. Their 6 weeks are finished. The fees are accounted for. The current appointments are complete. No promise remains that requires Lawson's to continue. Marcus's face reddened. There are customers booked through August. They received notice that they may choose you, another barber, or my limited appointments at Steel City. A murmur moved near the door. Marcus turned toward Jenna. "You sent it?" "The notice was scheduled for 5:30, she said. "Not yet." "Then cancel it," Marcus told me. "No. You said I could submit an offer." "You did. And you refuse because the name is mine in every way except the registration. The name is not yours." His eyes narrowed. "Say that again in front of everyone." I looked at the brass plaque. Father had not been engraved there, but son had. He had chosen the word I had wanted from him, and attached it to a contract. "You are my son," I said. "The shop name is still mine." Marcus stared at me. Nobody moved. "You have never called me that," he said. "Not directly. I should have, but today you can." "Yes, because you're about to close my business. Because it is true. Then prove it." He pointed to Lorraine's pen. "Sign." "No." His mouth opened slightly, then closed. "So, it is just another thing you say when it costs nothing." "It costs plenty." "Not enough." Jenna came from behind the counter. "Marcus, stop." He did not look at her. "He has wanted that word for 30 years. I gave it to him, and he still chooses an account number." "You did not give me the word," I said. "You put it on a proposal. Because you would never ask for it plainly. That does not make the rest fair." "Fair?" He laughed softly. "You kept me waiting until 40. You told me the shop would be mine. You let me borrow money, renovate, hire, and build a staff. Now you remove the name on the day the staff finishes training. You borrowed against 18 months of my unpaid labor without telling me. I corrected that, after the lender approved it. I offered to pay you, after you told customers my hands were unsafe. I removed that, after 500 brochures. What answer would be enough? Operate as Vale. There it is." He faced the people seated near the windows. "He wants me to erase the place where I grew up because the surname on my birth certificate is not his." "No," I said. I want you to build something you can claim without borrowing my permission. I already built it. He pointed toward the dark floor, the black chairs, and the mirrors bearing his name. You see the new shop around you, then it can survive as Vale. Customers came because Lawson's is trusted. Trust cannot be transferred by printing it. You transferred it every time you put me behind a chair. To your work, not to every decision. He looked toward Deshawn. Would you have come here if it were Vale Barber Studio? Deshawn answered carefully. I came because you promised Eddie would train me. And he did. After he discovered the promise. Marcus turned to Kayla. Would you have paid if the program did not use Lawson? She held her certificate against her apron. Probably not. Thank you. That does not help you, she said. I paid for him. You spent the money before asking him. Marcus looked wounded by her answer. I gave you a chair. You sold me a chair path with one set of terms and wrote another. And I honored the better terms, after Jenna made you. He turned toward Jenna. Do you have anything else to add? Yes, she said. Vale Barber Studio can open under your own accounts. I have prepared the payroll files, vendor contacts, and tax information. Deshawn and Kayla can decide whether to work there. You can keep the new chairs, mirrors, decor, website design, and equipment you purchased. Eddie is not preventing you from being a barber or operating here. He is taking the customers. Customers are choosing. Using a notice he controls. Because the current list is registered to Lawson's. Marcus looked around the room. Does no one understand what he is doing? Paula spoke softly. I understand both of you are hurt. That is not an answer. It is the answer I have. Mom would have wanted the name to stay. Paula looked at Lorraine's pen. My sister would not have wanted her pen used to pressure someone in public. Marcus flinched. You said the plaque was beautiful. It is. That does not make the paper beneath it right. He picked up the agreement and held it toward me. 1 year. Keep Lawson for 1 year. No training, no consulting. I pay a license fee, and every advertisement names you as founder. After 1 year, I changed to Vale. It was the closest he had come to separating the future from my name. I could hear people breathing around us. 1 year would have been easy to explain. It would have saved the new website, the lender forecast, and most of the customer confusion. It would also have kept the same door open. Every weak month, every customer loss, every loan payment could become a reason to extend it. No, I said. Marcus lowered the paper. 6 months. No, 90 days. The answer does not change with the calendar. Then what can I do? Open Vale Barber Studio. Use the new equipment you bought. Take responsibility for the debt. Offer Deshawn and Kayla honest terms. Ask customers to choose you. Stop using my name, my records, my tools, and my time without permission. And if I refuse, the Lawson account's closed today. The sign comes down. My equipment leaves. You lose access to the customer system and phone. The lease remains available through its current term if you establish insurance and pay the rent directly. You already arranged all of it. Yes. Before giving me this chance, I gave you written notice 4 weeks ago. That was an order. It was time to prepare. And this? He lifted the agreement. This was my preparation. Then you prepared the one thing I said no to. His hand tightened around the pages. I will not operate Vale Barber Studio like you are some stranger who rented me a room. That is your choice. No, my choice is Lawson and Vale. You do not have permission. I do not need it. I built the business customers see now. Will you stop using Lawson after 6? I asked. No. The answer came without hesitation. Jenna shut her eyes. Deshawn lowered his certificate. Kayla looked toward the front gate. I asked once more because I wanted no confusion left for either of us. Will you operate under your own name and leave mine alone? No, Marcus said. This shop is mine, and the name stays. I walked behind the counter and opened my laptop. Marcus followed. What are you doing? Closing what you refused to release. Not in front of everyone. You brought everyone. I signed into the merchant account. Jenna came beside me and read the pending transactions aloud. All services from the morning had settled. The final training balances showed 0. Luis's refund was complete. No deposits remained. I selected Close, Processing Account. A box asked why. I chose Business Closed. Marcus reached toward the keyboard. Jenna stepped between us. "Do not touch it," she said. "Move." "No." I confirmed the closure. The card reader on the counter flashed "Connection ended." Marcus picked it up and pressed the side button. The same message returned. "Turn it back on. The account is closed. Reopen it." "No. Customers still need to pay." "The morning services are settled. The cakes and coffee were already paid." "What about next week?" "Vale needs its own account." I opened the booking system. The customer notice was scheduled for 5:30. I changed the delivery time to now. The screen showed 1,842 recipients. The message stated that Lawson's Barbershop had completed its final day, that no customer information would transfer automatically, and that customers could opt to follow their current barber at a new business, request one of my limited Steel City appointments, or make another choice. It included separate consent links for Deshawn, Kayla, Marcus, and me. No one received another customer's details. I clicked send. Marcus's phone began vibrating on the counter as replies and booking cancellations reached the old system. He stared at it. "You sent it while they're standing here. They should hear from the account holder, not through another rumor. You called the business closed. Lawson's is closed." I disabled new bookings and removed Marcus's administrator access. His phone vibrated again, then displayed a login error. He held it toward me. "Fix this. Open your own account. The historical appointments are mine. They remain archived under the existing business. Customers may consent to transfer their own information." "You are making me start from nothing. You have the location, new equipment, website design, training certificates, and 20 years of work. That is not nothing. Without the list, I cannot reach people. They can choose you from the notice. Through a form you control, the responses go directly to the barber selected." Jenna checked her laptop. "That is correct." Marcus looked at her as if she had betrayed him by confirming a fact. I opened the telephone account and activated the 30-day recording. The shop phone rang once, then went silent. I called from my cell. A recorded voice said, "Lawson's Barbershop has completed operations. To contact your barber, please visit the information page sent to current customers or follow the posted notice at this location. No new appointments are being accepted through this number." I ended the call. Marcus picked up the shop receiver and pressed several buttons. "The number should transfer to Vale. You refused the transfer terms because you tied them to the name." "Yes. Give me the number without Lawson." "No. The number belongs to the closed business and will remain available for customer information for 30 days. Then what?" "It disconnects. 35 years of calls disappear. The customers do not." He threw the receiver into its cradle. It struck hard enough to make the bell ring. Paula stepped toward the door. Several customers began gathering their coats. Mr. Russo remained seated. Fred looked at the dark card reader. Nobody applauded. That was a relief. I had not wanted approval. I wanted the systems to match the truth. I took the small stepladder from the back room, carried it outside, and placed it beneath the old Lawson's Barbershop sign. Marcus followed me. "Leave it." The name ended at noon. "You said 6. You refused the last available terms. No paid appointments remain. The obligations are complete." "That sign has been there since before you married, Mom." "I know. It is part of the building. It is mounted to my frame and registered with my business." I climbed the ladder with a socket wrench in my pocket. The first bolt resisted. Mr. Russo came outside and stood near the ladder without speaking. Marcus remained below me. "If you remove it, do not expect me to put you back in my life when you regret this." I stopped with one hand on the sign. "I expect nothing from you today. That is convenient. It is honest. You will go teach strangers in my chair and tell yourself you protected something. The chair is mine. There, always the answer. The answer to that question." I loosened the first bolt. Rust fell against the sidewalk. You can still open Vale here. I do not want Vale. Then choose another name. I want the name I spent 20 years building. You spent 20 years building your skill beneath it. Your skill leaves with you. Customers do not see skill until a sign gets them through the door. Then earn the next sign. He laughed bitterly. You had one from the first day. I made it myself and waited 6 months before the shop paid my rent. You had your own name. I looked down at him. So do you. I removed the second bolt. The left side of the sign dropped an inch. Mr. Russo steadied the ladder. Careful, he said. The bracket's bent. It has been bent since 2008. I told you to fix it. You tell everyone to fix everything. The ordinary exchange loosened something in my chest. I took out the final bolt and lowered the sign into Mr. Russo's hands. Marcus watched the blank strip of brick appear above the window. The gold paper banners still covered the mirrors inside. But from the sidewalk, the shop no longer had a name. I climbed down. Marcus touched one of the faded screw holes. You could have left the sign while I changed everything else. Then every customer who entered would believe I remained responsible. You could have trusted me not to use it that way. You already did. He turned away. Naomi's van pulled into the alley earlier than planned. 2 apprentices climbed out carrying moving blankets and straps. I had called while we were still inside. Marcus saw them through the window. You called them before asking me again. I asked you twice. You knew the answer. I hoped it would change. No, you hoped I would surrender. I hoped you would choose Vale. He walked back into the shop and stood beside the red chair. The brass plaque remained on the easel. Lorraine's pen lay beside the unsigned agreement. The chair stays, he said. No. It belongs here. It belongs where I work. You are taking it to prove the shop is dead. I am taking it because Steel City has a place for it and asked before using it. Buy them another chair. This one is mine. Everything comes back to that. Because you keep taking things whose ownership is not unclear. His hand rested on the repaired armrest. I fixed this. Yes. Does that count for nothing? It counts as a good repair. You refuse to hear anything beneath the practical answer. I hear it. You want the chair to say you belong to what I built. I do belong. Yes. His eyes moved to mine. But belonging does not make every object yours. Then what did I get from you? The people still inside became quiet again. I wanted a clean answer and did not have one. Years, I said. Work, teaching, a home, mistakes, more silence than you deserved. That sounds like an inventory after someone dies. I am standing here. And taking the chair. Yes. Then do it. He stepped away. Naomi's apprentices wrapped the red leather carefully. Deshawn helped them guide it through the doorway. The chair caught briefly on the threshold because the new floor sat higher than the old tile. Marcus reached down automatically and lifted the base. For 3 seconds, he and Deshawn carried opposite sides while I held the door. Then the chair cleared. Marcus released it and wiped his hand on his trousers. The apprentices rolled it toward the van. I brought out my tool cabinet, the original mirrors from storage, the corded clippers, shears, razors, towel warmer, and the old striped Barber pole base that had not worked in 7 years. I left the shampoo sink, plumbing fixtures, new chairs, new mirrors, lighting, decor, and everything purchased through Marcus's equipment loan. Jenna checked each item against the inventory Susan had prepared. Marcus stood near the first station and objected only once, when I removed the paper client cards from the locked lower cabinet. Those are business records, he said. Yes. They remain with the closed business until the retention period ends. Customers who choose you may transfer their own information. You cannot use them at Steel City. I will not. Then why take them? Because they contain addresses, phone numbers, medical notes, and family details customers gave Lawson's, not Vale. You do not trust me with paper. Not after the training forms. He looked at the floor. Fine. Deshawn carried his own kit to his car. Kayla removed her supplies and the framed photograph Marcus had taken at the reopening. Are you leaving? Marcus asked her. I'm renting from my cousin starting Tuesday. I offered you a lower rate. I know. Then why? I need a place where the agreement stays the same after I sign. He nodded once, as if he had expected it. Deshawn? Murray's offered me my old chair, Deshawn said. I turned it down. Marcus looked up. You're staying? I'll talk to you about Vale after you have accounts, insurance, and a written salary. So yes, it means I'll talk. You sound like Eddie. Deshawn smiled faintly. Some of the training stayed. Marcus did not smile back. Jenna packed her laptop and the bookkeeping folders she had prepared for the transfer. I will help establish the first payroll account, she told him. After that, hire a bookkeeper. Are you going home? He asked. Later. With me? We'll discuss it at home. Another discussion. Yes, everyone gets time except me. You had 4 weeks. He looked toward the blank brick above the window. 4 weeks to prepare for someone else's decision. You had years to ask for a written one. Jenna touched his arm. He did not pull away, but he did not look at her. Paula placed Lorraine's pen back into its small velvet case and handed it to me. This should go home, she said. Marcus watched. It was in my basement. Your mother's desk was stored there, I said. Do you want the desk? No. Do you want something from it? Not now. I put the pen case into my jacket pocket. The brass plaque remained on the easel. Take that, I told him. Why? Your name is on it. So is yours. Cover mine or have it recut. You don't want it? No. He lifted the plaque and turned it toward the window. I paid $400 for this. Keep it. Another practical answer. I do not have a better one. By 2:30, the shop held only Marcus's equipment, the new furniture, unopened supplies he had purchased, the 2 cakes, and the dark floor he had chosen. The old phone sat silent. The card reader remained dark. The blank space above the window was visible from every station. Customers had mostly left. Mr. Russo stayed until the final cabinet went into Naomi's van. Where do I get my haircut? He asked. Where you choose. That is unhelpful. Steel City on Tuesdays. Marcus, if he opens Vale. Deshawn, wherever he lands. 3 barbers for 1 head. You have difficult hair. He shook Marcus's hand before leaving. Call me when you have a phone, he said. Marcus looked surprised. You'd come to Vale? I'll come for a haircut. The sign never cut me. Mr. Russo put on his windbreaker and went outside. Fred followed Kayla to her cousin's salon. Paula took the unopened cake home because none of us wanted it. Naomi drove away with the chair and tools. Deshawn and Kayla left separately. Jenna went to her car and sat inside with the door open. Marcus and I remained in the shop. The gold banners had fallen from one mirror, revealing Marcus Vale across the bottom. There is your name, I said. He looked at the mirror. You planned that remark. No. It sounded prepared. Then I said it badly. He sat in the first black chair and turned it toward the blank wall where my photographs had once hung. What happens to the lease? You have until Monday to provide proof of insurance and begin direct rent payments. Then I will authorize you to operate here through the remaining 11 months. At the same rent? Yes. No extra fee? No. Why? Because I said I would not take your profession or location. Only the name, phone, customers, records, equipment, and history. The history is not in the truck. It might as well be. I leaned against the counter. The customers received a choice. Deshawn may stay. Your new chairs and mirrors are here. The website design is yours. The lender plan will have to change. They may call the loan, then show them Vale's real numbers. I don't have real numbers yet. Now you will. He rubbed both hands over his face. You could help me. With a specific question that does not use my name or access, yes. That is not help, it is what I can offer. He looked at me. Will you ever sit in one of these chairs? I don't know. Will you come if I open Vale? I don't know. Will you call me? Yes. When? Not tonight. He nodded. At least that is direct. I walked toward the back door. Eddie. I stopped. He rarely used my name softly. Did you ever want me to take Lawson? As a surname? Yes. I thought of the shelves I had lowered when he was 9, and the forms I signed as stepfather because no other box fit. Yes, I said. Why didn't you ask? I thought asking would make you choose between me and your father. He had already chosen. I did not know how to say that without sounding glad. Marcus looked toward the floor. I thought keeping Vale was the only thing he left me. Maybe it was. And now you're telling me to build under it. Yes. He gave a tired laugh. You really can make anything practical. It is how I manage fear. He looked at me again. That does not make it less painful. No. I opened the back door. I should have asked years ago. You should have. I am sorry. He nodded, but did not forgive me. I went home with Lorraine's pen in my pocket and the shop keys still on my ring. Monday morning, Marcus sent proof of insurance under Vale Barber Studio, a new merchant account confirmation, and a direct rent authorization. He did not ask to use Lawson again. I approved his operation through the remaining lease term and removed my access to his new accounts. Lawson's customer recording stayed active for 30 days. 612 people chose a barber through the notice. 209 chose Marcus. 184 chose Deshawn after he accepted a written salary and remained at Vale. 93 chose Kayla at her cousin's salon. 57 requested my Tuesday schedule at Steel City. The rest chose other shops or did nothing. No customer list transferred in full. Each barber received only the information from people who selected them. At the end of 30 days, the old number disconnected. The paper records went into locked storage until Susan said they could be destroyed. The brass sign from the storefront stayed in my garage because Marcus would not take it and I could not throw it away. I turned it face down against the wall. By October, Vale Barber Studio was paying its own bills. Marcus sold one of the 3 new chairs to reduce the equipment debt and changed the expensive lighting schedule so the mirrors did not glow all night. Deshawn became the busiest barber there. He told me Marcus was learning to state prices before services and to put agreements in writing. Kayla visited Steel City twice to help with women's shortcuts. Jenna completed the payroll transfer, stopped managing the books, and kept her paycheck separate. She and Marcus remained married, though for several months they attended family dinners in separate cars. I did not ask for details. Marcus and I spoke every few weeks. Most calls involved the building, a leaking pipe, a supplier who still used the old account, the landlord's inspection. I answered the question asked, and did not offer 3 more solutions. He stopped calling me, only when something was broken. Once in December, he asked whether I wanted coffee. We met at the cafe next door to Vale. He did not apologize for the brochure, the training fees, or the lender plan in one complete statement. He said he should not have used my name before I agreed. Then he explained himself for 10 minutes, caught what he was doing, and stopped. I told him I should have made the future of the shop clear before he borrowed money. I did not offer Lawson back. He did not ask. When we left, he called me Eddie. That still hurt, though less cleanly than before. Steel City paid me for Tuesdays. I donated half the money to the apprentice tool fund and kept the rest, because Naomi said refusing all of it would make me unbearable. The red chair sat at the second station beneath one of my original mirrors. The apprentices repaired the damaged armrest again after my adhesive loosened during the first cold week. Naomi did not say she had predicted it. She only placed the failed backing piece on my workbench until I threw it away myself. I cut 6 customers a week and taught whoever had been assigned to the room. Some of my old customers came. Others stayed with Marcus or Deshawn. Mr. Russo alternated between us and claimed he was keeping the family together, though no one had given him that job. I no longer had a key to Vale. Marcus no longer had a key to anything of mine. When either of us entered the other man's workplace, we used the front door. On the first Tuesday of spring, one of the apprentices finished cleaning the stations and hung a new white apron on the peg beside the red chair. I took my faded striped apron from my cabinet, shook the loose hair from its pocket, and hung it beside the white one.